Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 29th of January, 2025, and I finished that documentary, I guess you would call it, on ethereal energies and cosmology, and it was very, very interesting. And so there was just a few things that, because the volume was so low, I did link it on this video on Rumble, so you can watch the whole thing. It's very low video audio quality, and so you have to wear a headset in order to be able to listen to it. But further discussed and reinforced that this Project Bluebeam, where there's going to be possibly like staged and planned fake alien invasions using advanced aircrafts and technologies and hybrids. I have repeatedly said as well that we have to look into the AI companies, which will be a blend incorporated into these possible staged and planned fake invasions, land, air, and sea. And so with that, utilizing quantum computing for accelerated machine learning, and they're using photonics, so quantum photonics and quantum entanglement using photons, right? Light, magnetic radiating energy or force, and as opposed to electronics for the advancements of AI technologies. And this is stuff that was talked about even in 2017. And so with the D-Wave, all right, who, again, even years ago, working with CERN and NASA and Google and Lockheed Martin and these companies, Alice as well, and anyways, to form some kind of what they believe to be is going to be utopia, but it's going to be a dystopia, in my humble opinion. And yeah, and looking at sound and light, particle wave connections, and all of that stuff. Friggin' mind is just exploding on all this stuff. But I did get sent a video, and but before I get into that, I want to get into sacred geometry and oh no, that's mine. My video is just adjusting the title. I just want to put on my own. Okay. So sacred geometry of the fractal holographic universe and the spiral of life. Actually, this was not sent to me. There was another one sent to me that I'll get into. But I want to share this because I've talked about, and you'll see this on my Rumble videos. It's been almost 3 years now. I've been on Rumble, and again, right from the get-go, talking about sacred geometry and spirals and Fibonacci spiral and the anyway. So this was really interesting.
Where the nodal points are, so the center of that star tetrahedron is going to line up right at the tip. Hey folks, it's George again, back here with another video from New Spirituality. That's K-N-E-W, new, meaning that the things I'm sharing here are things that you know deep down within, and it may seem like new material, but in a way it's what you already know. So yeah, last time I shared a lot about the I Ching and dogma and its relationship to a geometry, and how that relates to some of the mathematics of 369 that I've been working on. And you know, I was so excited after that last video because I saw some patterns even while I was doing the video that led me to some new discoveries just within the past few days. So I got back to the drawing board, and I'm going to share a lot of other information associated with what we were talking about. So we're going to do like what we did last time. You know, I've got the lovahedron over here, the shapes of the lovahedron, which were really useful last time. And, you know, I've got, again, you know, all the little props that will be used as well. And I'll be sharing the screen. And this time we'll spend a good amount of time doing stuff with the screen, because we're going to put things together in a way that is pretty unique in sacred geometry. I mean, it's all in there. But if you're into sacred geometry, or if you're just getting into it, this is going to be jam-packed with information, and you're going to see a lot of different shapes utilized in different ways. So it could definitely be an expansive video to watch if you're getting into sacred geometry. I'm going to cover a lot of the basics too. So, you know, let's move through these slides. I've got quite a few to go through. I hope it doesn't go as long as last time. But at the end, there will be another great ending, because I'm going to bring all this stuff to life, literally. I'm going to bring this right into what it means for our biology and our cells, and that's coming up at the end, because this all led right to that direction. So here, let's take a look at the screen. Okay, share that one. So, okay, this is where we started off last time, and we're really not going to spend a lot of time here. I'm just kind of doing a quick synopsis and overview of where we left off. I talked more about the numbers of the trigrams and how that's tetrahedrons that are being formed based on the octahedron that's in the middle of this, that star tetrahedron that you see in the middle. So, in the last video, you saw me take these 7 star tetrahedrons and bring them together and join them. This one goes in the middle, but you have 6 other ones, the 6 red and the 6 blue ones here, which can be any color. I discovered something really neat in how these 6 here relate to the trigrams, just these 6 tetrahedrons to make this form. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the video. So when we link these all together and these fit over top of these octahedrons that are in here, they're already linked to them. I just broke them apart this way. It creates that cube octahedron in the middle. And I'm not going to focus as much on the numbers in this video because they all add up to 9, like I said, and they're all in a specific spot for particular reasons in regards to the numerics. Watch the other video. It's all in the beginning of that video, pretty much, where I describe that. So when we linked all those together, it looked like that. We had a little rosette of numbers, and all the numbers are mixed in the middle. But then when we got to this shape, when I took out the octahedrons, we could see this kind of unusual looking star shape pattern in the middle, which is made up of the 6 star tetrahedrons around the 1 star tetrahedron that was in the middle. So that is, when we did that, I noticed that I saw all the red numbers up on the top and all the blue numbers were down at the bottom. And that rekindled a memory of mine that when a few years ago I was looking at the double torus field and Nassim Harriman's work on that, and that double torus fit right over top of that. So after I did the video, I sat with that image because it was an unusual shape. I actually discovered that it's actually the image.
That's what this Earth plane is. And we are experiencing life on this flat plane of inertia, possibly.
What of the octahedron shape, and you'll see how that plays into this in the video in just a moment. So after I did the video a few days later, I decided to just clean up that image, take out all the numbers, and just do a really nice, clean representation of it with nice straight lines and not having all the tetrahedrons that are joined together. Now, the reason we joined those tetrahedrons together before is to show that that was a 3-dimensional shape, like this, right? An 8-sided star shape that we joined and fit together to make it 3-dimensional. Now I pretty much just made it looking like a flat,
8-sided star shape, and then even connecting it with the 6-sided
2D image
shape.
And when you lay out the lines like this, while I was constructing this, I was just amazed because remember, this fits perfectly in the 19 circles of the flower of life. But every single point for that joining of the tetrahedrons, the star tetrahedrons in that way, they all go over, linked to every single nodal point within the flower of life design. Nothing is left out. Like, we're not pulling anything out of it, to say here's a star tetrahedron, this is what it looks like. It's all joined together, and every little nodal point in the flower of life, which is now 3-dimensionally represented, has those intersecting points. So that's just a really neat connectivity between all those points. And this shape, which I haven't really seen, I don't think I've seen it illustrated or joined together in this way. So if you're new to sacred geometry, if you've been around for a while, let me know what you've seen. And if you're new to it, this is definitely a form you want to play around with. So what I did next is I like to get a form like this, which the base form was this red one that we were looking at. And then you can ratchet it like 15 or 30 degrees. And when you do that, you'll get a whole new looking pattern there. So right now I just turned that shape, which is a beautiful design, new design. I haven't seen this one represented this way, but it's got 12 points, main points coming around here. So I ratcheted that once. And once you get ratcheting things and you're like, new patterns can be emerging. And I knew if I did it one more time with this image, that would bring me up to a 24-pointed design here. Now remember, the flower of life is still in there, and we're used to just seeing it, with those concentric circles going around. We don't ever really see it ratcheted once or ratcheted now to get to 24 points. And what I did next, so I'm giving you like a real in-depth behind the scenes of like how these forms work within me and kind of the process that I go through in working with them to kind of reveal new patterns and new shapes that are already in there, but are new to me because I haven't seen them in other places represented like this. So this is now represented, ratcheted twice over. So I believe these are like 15 degree increments between each of these. And you have the 24 points all the way around. And now I've separated what the flower of life looks like when it's rotated like that, and the inner structure of all the lines. So right now we have both the spherical on the right, I think it's your right on the screen, and on the left over here, we've got the straight line. So we've got these two polarities here, right, between the circular form, and we've got the straight line version over here. So whenever I see that, and when you brought the 24 in, it got me thinking about all the work that I've done with the Fibonacci spiral, the golden spiral. You know, Fibonacci is our best representation, which is a sequence that has a repeating code that Jane Magix talks about this code. It's one of the codes he cracked or discovered along the way in his sacred geometry research. If you count it around here, that code would add up to 24. So if you went around in the Fibonacci sequence, 1 plus 1, well, that equals 2. And 2 plus 1, that would equal 3. 2 plus 3 would be 5. 5 plus 3 would be 8. If you went all the way around it and then you added the cross numbers, it would go around 24 times. It would start to repeat itself as you went around again. That would just go on and on and on. And the Fibonacci spiral can go on endlessly and endlessly and endlessly. Deep-rooted pattern in nature. In fact, outside today, a few days ago, you know, I found just this little plant stem that was out right in the driveway, and it's got this beautiful spiral going to it, through it. I just pondered and was amazed by, you know, here's nature's pattern of the spiral right here in this little plant stem that just blew up, you know, in front of my vehicle. So I was like, okay, now it's time to spiralize this, you know, bring the spiral in. Where is the spiral fitting in? So I believe that's my next slide coming up. Yep. So here's a little bit more behind the scenes. You know, I take the Fibonacci spiral that you see here on the right, you know, within the boxes. This is how it works. 1 and 1, this is 2, got the 3 box, the 4, the 5, 5, you know, 8, and then, you know, so on and so forth up to the next one, 13. So, you know, then I was like, I'll turn these on their side and, you know, create this neat little image design up here. And now I was like, okay, well, I'll put this over top of the flower of life. You can see I found that there was one circle within the middle here that, like, the spiral really liked to hug as it went into the center, and they all kind of went around that spot. So I pulled those out and started to overlap them on the 24 points that I had already. So underneath this, it's very faint and yellow, that's the point star. And now I've got this vortex energy here going on. You know, the spiraling motion, 24 points, all connecting with Fibonacci numbers. And we've got one here that's going counterclockwise, one going clockwise. So when I put these two together, you see in the center, and this is a really phenomenal image to look at. And I'll be posting some of these like in my blog and writing about them as well, and just putting them on Facebook so people can really just have some time to sit with the image and just, you know, be with it. Because if you spend some time with this one, you'll see that it's radiating lines of light that aren't there in, you know, in the drawing, but there's these streams of light coming out of it that, you know, I didn't draw in there. So it's one of those little optical illusion things, but sacred geometry is a language of light. It's like an atomic art. And, you know, because it connects to all those different levels from the smallest to the largest. So when you're looking at this image, I don't know if you checked out those Nassim Harriman videos that I mentioned when he's talking about the double torus, and they were in links in my last video. I put some in the comments at the bottom, the description. So if you were looking kind of down at the top of the double torus with the plus side, that would be like you're looking down this little red vortex coming up and around and then back down into the center. Same thing with the blue one here on the side. That's now on below, and that's being pulled on up into the center. So this is a kind of a simple representation of the spiraling energy superimposed over top of one another. And then I was like, well, you know, I can easily see this as the yin-yang symbol because I've been working with the I Ching, and I wanted to see what happens if we turn that symbol into that energy. How does that fit? Because Nassim was talking about the yin-yang symbol in there. So I worked with taking the red spiral lines in blue and having them. So I have 12, and the other 12 are the matching numbers in the Fibonacci sequence on the other side. So those counter numbers, as you go around and add them up, everything adds up to 9. I don't know why that is, but it's always coming back to 9 in the mathematics I did in Fibonacci sequence. It's all adding up to 9. So these counterpoints of the red connecting to the blue, those polarities again, it's the same way that I did the I Ching numbers in the previous video. They're meeting up to add up to number 9. So we've got 5 red, 5 blue, and there's the yin yang symbol, right? There it is. There's the red, and there's the blue. And that one is rotating the counterclockwise way, and this one is the clockwise way. There it is there, and there it is there. So then, we just start joining things together, and I take those two cool designs and bring them into the middle. And then what do we have? We have the red and the blue on top. So it's very similar. Let's just bring that. I mean, it is, what we're looking at here. With this other double torus.
So I'll get into who he was talking about, nothing harem. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I apologize for that. But I just was looking more into it. And so it's Cosmic Core, Article 102 Alpha, Physics, Ether Units, Part 6, the Torus and Nassim Haramain. So some good diagrams in here as well. So we will continue our discussion of ether units, showing how various sources are similar to one another, bringing the concept of ether and ether units into sharper focus. Is a fluid like ether motion. At the center of each unit is a torus or rotating sphere. These tori are not things, they are flow processes and are similar in nature to force fields. They are properly called ether flow fields. They result from the two opposite yet harmonious pressure forces in the universe. That, and for me, it's like this is that within this contained cosmos or universe that we cannot leave and nothing can enter. Anyway, they result from two opposite yet harmonious pressure forces in the universe. That is the inward spiraling centripetal force of gravity and the outward spiraling centrifugal forces of radiation. So he's discussed this in previous, analogous ideas of the harmonic oscillators, toroidal vortex flow. Harmonic oscillators at each point in space. These points in space are not things that we refer to them as ether units. They are vortex flows made of fluid like ether that result from the oscillation of polarity. That is the oscillation from the metaphysical realm of time-space in the physical realm of space-time. Electromagnetic radiation. These opposing harmonious pressure gradients is the torus field itself. The double torus. The double torus is formed by stacking two torus forms together and rotating them in opposite directions. Energy flows inward, either inward or outward at both poles of a system rather than in one pole and out the other as a single torus system. So these poles, we're talking about north and south poles, not referring to this globe, or sorry, this allegedly being a globe. Again, if you count this being like the toroidal fields containing this environment, it's possibly sphere-shaped. I've said that before many times. Anyway, but we live on the flat plane of inertia in the middle, in the center of that. There's like no one in Australia that's upside down, like stuck to this wet spinning rock rolling through space because of gravity, which is a weak force, weaker than magnetism. Anyways, depending on temperature, pressure, and density. The double torus plays an essential role in the physics. Anyway, center of each body of mass. As the mass grows in size, the strength of the torus flow gains in intensity. A larger size body of mass creates a stronger gravitational flow due to the existence of a larger number of atoms coalesced together to form a body. And different scales. It is the writer's experience that new degrees of comprehension are always and only consequent to ever renew review, spontaneously rearranged inventory of significant factors. It was just something I was looking into that was interesting. Okay, here it is. The oscillation created is a result of the flow of ether. It is not a thing. The flow forms a double torus. That is, one torus is on the bottom, one on the top, and they are spinning in opposite directions. There's nothing solid about structure one, which is above. Each sphere contains all the Platonic solid geometry, Archimedean geometry, and all associated stellations, truncations, and compounds in potentiation. The geometry is fractal, recursive, and holographic. This means the geometry is within geometry, within geometry, within geometry, outward and inward, infinitely, I mean. It is also important to note that all platonic solids can be built from spheres. Let's see here. I like these. Below, we see the inward spiraling pressure and outward spiraling pressure. This creates the double torus. This same phenomenon can be seen when looking down the poles of a magnet. This results in a double torus, not a single torus. I've shown these images before. This is the top-down view of a magnet, its fields. The flower of life in ether units. The torus is a manifestation of the seed of life that is rotated, which is what this guy's talking about. I'll get back to him, but I just wanted to keep showing these images because this is cymatics. I'll discuss cymatics as well. You can vibrate pure sound frequencies in water and get these shapes. This is seen in cymatics and is discussed thoroughly in Cosmic Core. Yeah, I've shown all this stuff before. But again, if you're new to this channel, welcome. The cube is within the octahedron. I have a dodecahedron. I have them actually. The form forms a star tetrahedron, otherwise known as the stellation octahedron, a Merkaba, or a three-dimensional Star of David. Yeah, so again, all religions are using astrotheosophy essentially, and the luminaries, not only what they're made of, but also their travel path, like in all of their texts, allegorical, not facts, truths, but not facts. 12 edges of the cube. Pyramids also show the travel path of the luminaries and specifically the sun as well, more importantly. So when we talk about angels, it's actually angles, I think. Anyway, this is very interesting. I'll get back into the video.
Image with the red up on the top here and the blue. Now the only difference there, is we're looking at this now as if we're looking down at it, right? This is looking from the side and you have that. But it just shows that there's this parallel polarities that are happening when we work with these numbers in this way and with these shapes and these colors. So, okay, just kind of taking you through a kind of quick exploration of the journey I went on with these shapes, and hopefully you'll just find these shapes really attractive to look at while you are listening to me talk about them. And I do have a lot of little props I'll be showing in just a bit, so just stick with me because we're moving into the next phase of the discovery. So I put on that previous shape, the one that I found at the octahedron, the one that had all the numbers around it previously, and I put that right into the middle of that shape to show you where it is. Remember, that's the flower of life. Points. Every point on this is a point on the flower of life design. And now it's in the tetrahedral form, so it's not flat, it's three-dimensional. So you're looking at a three-dimensional spiraling sphere, basically a torus energy, a torus shape. And then I took that image and I brought it right into the center of the complete flower of life design. Zoom out quite a lot because I really started to expand how much space we have to use because it's going to get pretty big here in a second. So I took that one design that we whittled down to and put it right in the center. So the flower of life, which started out as the overall outside ring here, is now all contained within the smallest circle, the smallest sphere within the whole. And this is getting into what I've been talking about, some of my posts and what other researchers are talking about when they say it's a fractal holographic universe, meaning that the whole is contained within the smallest part. So this is going to show that. Now, the cool thing about this, what we're doing here is, we've got it spherical at this point. We're not just going to do a flat design. So as we go through these next slides, we're going to be adding to this and now I'll get into showing you some of the lovahedron shapes. It's a spherical shape. So if you were to look at the center of that, it's a star tetrahedron. This one just collapsed. I'm not going to fix it. But we'll be using the lovahedron shape, which is this kind of odd-looking tetrahedron. We're going to basically be able to do the same build like I did previously, but I'm going to show you some more shapes that I can get out of the lovahedron. And as we do that, we're going to add up how many actual spheres is the fruit of life in its full maxed out area. So the fruit of life, when you connect these outer lines, that's where Metatron's cube and all 5 platonic solids are held within that. So when we go around, we're going to be figuring out how many spheres, and this is going to be really cool and really crucial to add up. And I've always wondered, and I really didn't know until today, like a few hours ago, until I worked through this, to find how many spheres it is. And when we find out how many spheres it actually is, it's going to be really interesting. It's really neat to find out, because it's going to relate to so many other things. Okay, so I just described that, but here it was. That was the base shape that I took originally. That's where it was in the flower of life. It was really big at that point. So we just basically condensed it down to that small little size. And now this is when we'll get into the building of this, all right? So now I'm taking that shape now, which is like, whoops, I'm moving the wrong one. Let's unmove that. See, there's 3 below it, and there's 3 on top. That's that shape, right? So that is the seed of life shape. There's 1 in the middle. It's the classic shape. I'm labeling these up here. We've got 1 in the center. We got 6 new spheres that are added to give you a total of 7 for that seed of life, which some consider to be the first 7 days of creation that they're talking about, that is being talked about. That's the first 7 days of creation. As these spheres of energy, each one of these represents a new day. So we have, let's move this one black out of here. Okay, I got it. So let me just show you off screen real quick. So just like I was talking about a little bit in the previous video, I was using these shapes, which were kind of the latest version of the lovahedron shape with these holes in it. It's the same basic form. And it's basically like an octahedron. It's 8-sided form, so it works just like the octahedrons. And we fit this together, showed this the other day in the video, and now we have that octahedron, bigger octahedron shape. The tricky part that I'm not able to do here is that there's actually, another sphere at the middle of this that, with the materials I'm using, I can't do. But I can show that in the slides that there is one at the center, because you'll have 6 around 1. But when these 3 come together, they actually create the one in the middle anyway. So these 3 are, kind of like what I'm going to make an analogy to a little bit later on is like each one of these is like one line of a trigram. So that's a trigram, another triangle. It's like one line of a trigram, 1, 2, 3. And the other one is another. So you got 6 lines total for the shape that have come together to form and fuse. And it's going to be related to the I Ching as we look into that in just a bit. So let's move back to the screen. There it is. And share. Okay, so I've just done some little quick little drawings here. So this drawing in the middle doesn't look too chaotic, but it's got, these vortex spheres now, which are like little mini swirls of energy. Nassim Harriman kind of makes a little joke. He says it's a smoothie universe, because every single one of these little points are like these little spinning black and white holes, that are these little torus fields. And I'm going to be constructing with these shapes, the smoothie universe. There's hundreds of little lines within this, and we're going to have thousands of lines in this completely done. And it's just an abstraction of what's really there, obviously, but it's really getting to close to what it might look like when all this energy is swirling around and all these colors. So here's the octahedron shape. It just fits right on there, like so. And that's, I talked about the octahedron before. That was this shape here. 8 sides. And when you're looking at it like that, you're just seeing, from one plane of it. Just get that lined up for you. Just like that. So you don't see the lines that are behind it because you're only seeing the flat front, but the back is there. So when you see this image, you usually see it as just a regular star, 6-pointed star in the middle, because you can see through this all the way to the back lines. But when you see it as solid on the front, then it just looks flat like this, like an 8-sided dice, or like this with this octahedron in the middle. So we've got that one, and now I did the same thing with this other one. I'll put that one on there because at the base of this, in the center, is what is already, it already has contained within it the cube octahedron shape within it. And that's coming up in just a second. I'll show you where that one is. But when you connect these lines, the cube octahedron is within that octahedron shape. It already exists within it. And the star tetrahedron is in there too, and that's what my next slide is going to show. Might take a little bit. Computer, my little thing swirling around because there's so much information packed on this. It almost crashed. It crashed a few times today because these images are just so big. So much information on it. So here is now where the points would be when we build the star tetrahedron points off of the pre-existing little docking stations that I had mentioned previously. These little docking stations, how the star tetrahedrons gonna kind of just grow all those spots. So we've got a whole bunch of new spheres just added in. And the lobahedron shape, I'll show you what that looks like with this prop here. Let's go back to stopping share. Now I showed you this the other day, right? If you saw the video, this we'll be constructing this in just a moment. This was the big octahedron shape. It's got 8 sides. It's just a bigger version of what I showed you. And it's like a transformer, you know? It's I could take it apart, and I'm going to transform this right now into that star tetrahedron. Remember, if you saw the previous video, at the center of this was a star tetrahedron in the middle. But because I don't have, because with this new build, I'm building off of this shape right now, I'm not able to put that little octahedron in the middle there because it's just going to run into stuff. So I have to kind of revise. Those shapes are in there, but we've got to build it anyway. So just like these dock into the tops, these flat faces here, well, they match up together like this. Just like, come on, there we go. Just like that. All right, so that's matched up like that. And if I turn it around this way, and I take one more, the same little shape, because now I'm going to put that on top like that. Now I've got, you know, a kind of funky looking star tetrahedron, but it's a cube basically. If I turn it on its side, you'll see it's just a square. And a star tetrahedron is basically the inside of a square type of shape. But we take that square, you know, basically if you took like 6-sided die and turned it up on its side, like this view, you know, then you've got a star tetrahedron shape that spins it's on its top points like that. So if I spin this one around like so, you know, you've got the upper and lower points going around. I know it's an unusual form to look at because it doesn't have all those straight edges that we normally look at with the star tetrahedron straight line view and even the images I'm showing you on there. This is kind of like a mix between straight lines and a sphere. And that's what I really like about this lobahedron shape, is that I'm able to kind of construct things in a way that kind of keeps a little bit of the straight lines and the sphere. All right, so right now at the center of this, I don't have anything in there because I can't put anything in there. It's like, oh wow, it looks like it's some sort of alligator all of a sudden. But you know, I can't put that other one that would be in the middle, although it does exist. Like in the geometry, they're all interlocked. So we're going to be creating 2 forms. This is one of them. So this added, you know, 8 new outer points. This is what you normally see when you look at a star. Here's a triangle point, and down where my bottom hand is, that's one triangle, and the other one is in the back here. 1, 2, and the third is over there. So it's upward pointing triangle and downward. And at the center, these are where the that's where the point is for the circle to come off of. So those are the points. This is the center circle here. So this is the egg of life, because you see these spheres would be not interjoining anymore. They'd be clustered around one another. It's a really important shape, the egg of life. It represents the first 8 cells within our bodies. It is the first 8 cells in our bodies. This is how the formation starts to take place. It becomes a tetrahedron and then a a star tetrahedron, and I've got some images that I'll show you in a bit about that. But when you normally look at these, remember you have that one point towards the center, and if you turn this around, you have one whoop directly behind it, just like that. So that's the dimensions we've got, that we're seeing these in all those images of sacred geometry, flower of life and whatnot. I hope they're just going to start to pop off the page for you and bring them to life in your mind's eye. And when you look at a flat image of a flower of life, you'll probably never see that image the same again after knowing that this is what it's looking like. So let's see where we at with the sharing the screen. All right. Okay. So now just to show you where those center points are, let's put the little Merkaba body of light image back on here. And those are where those center points, and there's the spheres that are coming off them. Remember, there's the one directly behind it. So now all of a sudden, you can kind of see, I didn't do the circles. I could do that for you. Let me do that for you. I'll bring this flower of life image, the whole spherical form here, up to the top. So let's bring it to the front and center. Here it comes. Hopefully it won't freak out and crash. It could. Nope, there it is. All right. So there you go. There's how it fits, right? So now there's the sphere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is on the back side, just like I was showing you. 3 dimensions where we've got it in here. And it's way, way super complex because remember, at the center of each of these already consists of hundreds of little lines. There's 6, 7 star tetrahedrons already joined together in the center of each of those. And that's the same pattern of even the big ones I showed you. And this whole giant thing is a big one. And it just goes small and small and smaller and larger and larger and larger. Completely connected, unified field, fractally expanding like this or contracting. And with the spheres. And remember, I completely forgot, I've got the spiral energy in here. The spirals going on in here now too with the Fibonacci spirals, which are making all of those, not just spherical or straight lines. You have spirals within each of those spheres, and we could do spirals at the bigger scale too. It's a smoothie universe. I know why I like smoothies so much now. So let's see. Oh, I'm moving the wrong one. I could probably just go to the next one here. And that was the same shape as before, but we won't worry about that. We're going to start over again, back at square one. So we'll do a little quick breather. Just do a count on the side. I know this is a lot of information. Some of these videos, if you are really into this, and you might want to watch a few times because there's a lot of info. If you start drawing the images, and like I mentioned, if you can get some of those blocks like this, I put a link for where I got these in my other video. You can start playing with them and see. It's really a lot of discovery awaits you, and you can go further in this than where I've gone with it for sure. So we've got the one at the center. So far, I'm doing a cumulative count because we got to restart from the beginning because I'm not able to construct these forms. Now, I've done it in a way where there's so many little tetrahedrons in here, it's out of hand. That 64 tetrahedron grid is probably right. You guys really, works with the patience. Hopefully, as a viewer, you'll have the patience to.
All right, so enough of him because I've got a lot to get into. It's not that he isn't interesting, obviously. I did want to get into which one first. They're so freaking interesting, all of these ones. Actually, I'll show just some magnet stuff from Ken Wheeler.
The problem is that they're easy to destroy. It's kind of like you can create something that's a lot more sensitive, but usually more sensitive instruments are more easy to destroy. So this actually part in about 1 minute, and rebuild it in about 5 minutes. And these something interesting, and I'll zoom in. Here we go.
Look at that.
Let's actually see it. Now, the interesting, you can actually see the donut shape. Isn't this fascinating? The holography. Now, you know the hologram on your credit card, right? Well, a true art hologram, which most people have never seen, is about 100 times better than that, if not more, depending on how good the true art hologram is. Now, what we actually have here is less than a few microns thin. In other words, the liquid, there's a few drops of liquid between the ultra flat glass. Once you actually press the glass together, most of the liquid swishes out the side and you wipe it off and it leaves stains on your fingerprints. What we actually have here is across this this is about roughly about 10 square inches of glass in total. We have less than about, maybe like 1/50th of a drop of liquid, maybe 1/50th. And yet we have incredible holographic But specifically, this is magnetoholography. Now, of course, you can see the donut shape. There's nothing here, by the way. This is not a projection device. This is literally just LEDs, like for the edge lighting of your cabinet. So there's just light shining inwards. By the way, about 2 years ago, people said, well, you're just looking at the number of lights here. It's like, that's not true. I created one of these devices where the light pours in from the sun, so only one light source. So the sun was able to wrap around in a tent-like structure and shoot inwards into the cell, and you get the exact same thing from a single light source, which is the sun. No batteries, no LEDs, nothing, just the sun powering it. The ceramic or the speaker magnet, of course, is squared off, so it's obviously not rounded. It doesn't matter what shape the magnet is. Centrifugal divergent force and motion vectors that actually show the magnetic and dielectric field. And this is the reason why we see lines. We see constructive and destructive interference. It's perfect for donut shape. And of course, the negative image of a donut shape is, of course, a hyperboloid or an hourglass shape. So if you actually take the negative image of this, you will see the dielectric. Now, this is a really weak magnet. I'll show you a really powerful magnet here in a second. And I'll show you how much more sensitive this structure, this new super sensitive supercell is. But look, as I actually skim along the edge. Now, realize that the liquid showing the constructive and destructive interference is infinitely thinner than a human hair. And what we're doing is we're using the light in the dispersed ferrofluid. The ferrofluid is not clumping, by the way. The dispersed ferrofluid is all through this. The only reason why you're seeing light stripes in certain areas and dark stripes in others is constructive and destructive interference between the magnetic and dielectric. I'll find this in other videos, and I have in the past, but also in my book. You see these little bright spots along the lines of intersection. You see those here? Let me actually zoom in a little better. You see these little bright spots right here and here and here? You notice they occur at lines of intersection, right? Let me actually. Now this supercell is so sensitive that I actually have to keep the magnet, otherwise it'll burn, like a light burn. Not literally burn, I just call it burn because it's so sensitive, the powerful magnetic field. Even though it's weak, ferrite magnet is so powerful that it's destroying the supercell. Like I said, that's why I've got it taped so I can take it apart really quickly. Let's go top down. Kind of looks like a black hole, huh? Here you see the hypertrochoid pattern, kind of like you see in a dream catcher. The pattern you see in the center of a dream catcher is a hypertrochoidal pattern. Yeah. Let's actually take the speaker magnet out, and let's do a ring magnet. The powerful ring magnets like this destroy it rather easy. Let's take this little square neodymium iron boron. Okay, let's place it there. And also, too, I could place it on top. Let's place it on. Okay, there we go. Let's zoom in and do that, huh? Doesn't matter whether I place it on the top or the bottom. The magnetic field penetrates through absolutely everything. Absolutely.
So cool.
Let's place it underneath the supercell here. There you go.
Like owl eyes. I've
go.
said that before.
Now let's zoom in a little bit here. The contrast.
Does it look like owl eyes?
Actually see rings along the looks like an owl's face, doesn't it? This
Oh,
is the
this is
secret
it.
of Mother Nature here. This is the actual constructive and destructive interference. Here's one pole, here's another pole. But a magnet doesn't actually have poles. What it has is the inverse of counter space, which is specifically force and motion. It's the centrifugal divergent magnetic field, which of course is not literally emitted from the magnet. It's literally the ether itself under polarized deformation from the field of the point source singularity that is and what defines the magnet. Because a magnet is not defined by what is quantitative, rather by what is qualitative. And I've explained this 1,000 times, and also too, including my book.
The flower of life,
Zoom in. Sorry about
the lotus petal,
shaky video.
the chakra
If I
systems.
zoom in here, you can actually see
That shape.
little concentric circles in the middle. Now you notice how small the black spot is? Of course, where it's black is the dielectric. This is constructive and destructive interference between the magnetic and the dielectric. This is literally the lotus blossom. It kind of looks like a lotus blossom, doesn't it? But specifically, from up above, it looks like a dream catcher. It's a hypertrochoidal pattern of constructive and destructive interference. Literally the interplay between dielectric, because magnetism is the dielectric field. Let me give you the perfect analogy, and this is destructive to the supercell. Use this really powerful N60 gas magnet, a piece of metal to feel the magnet. And also, too, you can see, if I can get a little bit better focus, the concentric circles. You actually see shades. It goes from black to dark red to orange to lighter orange to almost yellow. This is the magnet that will very quickly. Also, too, you can see these bright points right here. You see that? You see how quickly it's destroying the cell by burning it. It's not literally burnt. It's just literally causing. This is why I have to take the supercell apart when you use really powerful sucker. Let me place it on here and zoom in and let you take a look as I scoot it.
Look at the thick geometric patterns in there.
Take a look. See, there's nothing in the middle of this magnet, but you still see the dielectric portal, this little black spot right in the middle, hovering where nothing is. Magnets, by the way, do not accelerate towards one another. What they do is they accelerate towards the lowest pressure mediation of a dielectric acceleration. Let's actually place the ring magnet underneath the supercell and show you what it is. Let you take a look. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah, this ring magnet will quickly fry this supercell. It's already frying, actually. I'll lift off, but you can actually see the burn marks. It's only about 5 minutes to rebuild it. And the liquid doesn't cost any of that, not really. Since it only takes a few drops to build one, Big deal if we build it. But look at the magnetoholography. If you actually had this in your hand, you'd be surprised. Now look at this. If I get it on a steep angle, even though you don't have this in your hands and you can't see what it is I'm talking about, look at the holographic depth. You actually have this trough, sloping towards this null point where the entire, and of course, the magnetic field of the ring magnet is the exact same geometry, even though larger and more perfect. The ring magnet versus a toroid, but the magnetic field is also a toroid, and that's actually one of the reasons why ring magnets destroy supercells so quickly. I lift off of there, you see the burn marks. There we go. What you're looking at is the face of Mother Nature here. Magnetism is everything, the volume inside the balloon, the air inside the balloon of everything in the universe that has magnitude and the mass. Things only have magnitude due to magnetism. And what the hell defines a black hole is where dielectricity, just like the super powerful magnet, except a really poor analogy. And everything is a fight between the conjugate geometries of force of motion, inertia, and acceleration. Everything is centrifugal divergence and centripetal convergence. Respectively, the inverse geometries of the torus, i.e. the geometry of force of motion, i.e. magnetism, and the geometry of dielectricity, which is the hyperboloid or the hourglass shape. The negative image of an hourglass is a torus. The negative image of a torus is so these are the geometries of, oh, look at that. Isn't that fascinating when you look at it deep on? I wish you could hold it in your hands because it is the geomagnetic precession, or the Lamour frequency, that actually defines the phase rate of phi to 1. That's why I know this side over here is the North Pole and this side over here is the South Pole, because this one actually has the phase rate towards the blue shift of phi, or 1.618. This one has the phase shift of 1. That way, just looking underneath the ferrule cell, I know this side of the magnet's the North Pole and this side of the magnet's the South Pole. I know that's the case, girlfriend. See these burn marks in here? That's the reason why I'll have to rebuild the cell. It's already been burned in by this really powerful sucker.
So anyways, that was super interesting. I'm so appreciative of his work. He does slam flat earthers. Still, it is what it is. Maybe he'll finally accept an opportunity to talk with me on my podcast and talk to. He's such an incredible person, right? He's very smart and seems like he's very helpful with people. So anyway, I think he'd be open-minded. So this one was shared to me yesterday, and I actually talked to Santos Bonacci. I think it was either 2 or 3 years ago. And I had been looking at his work for a few years by that point. I've shared videos on that. So, and I have a lot of videos of the sun's travel path through the Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn, in the equatorial belt or ring, and through the zodiacal belt, the Mazalot or the Mazaroth, whatever you want to call it, and the sun's travel path being on average traveling 15 degrees or approximately 1,030 miles per hour through the constellations on a daily and annual basis, and how it makes up the seasons and how it rises and sets differently depending on how far or close it is to you on this flat earth plane. And so she seemed to be very much, I haven't watched this whole video. I wanted to watch it with you, but she gets into a lot of interesting topics, and she shows visual representations that I've shared as well. But again,
we see them today. It has not changed. But one more thing I just want to add is a lot of my work comes from watching the luminaries and documenting. So, and then reading the holy books. I took the middlemen out. So other than Santos Bonacci, I took all the middlemen out and I went, holy books, what are they doing? And that's how it all kind of came to be. Not kind of, that's how it is. And that's my message to everyone is like, that's all you need to do. You can get rid of all the middlemen and just have that direct connection with how these luminaries are moving and how that is applied within a lot of all the holy books. And I'm just providing, like, I'm taking away the veils of what they told you. So I'm showing you what actually is. And then once you see it, it clicks. But
yeah, and I love to how you explain the gates of Enoch, because I've seen all kinds of crazy shit out there about that FPV angel. And you're the first person I've seen is like, oh yeah, duh. It makes a lot of sense. So maybe as you take us through the wheel, can you explain the gates too?
Yeah, I do have the gates on a wheel. And so can I flip my camera around now?
Yeah, flip around. Go ahead. What you got to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so tell us what we're looking at. I know, but
yeah, so this is the sky wheel. Now I'm going to use the word tropical astrology, but don't get freaked out about that. That's just the system, the ancient system. There you go. So don't get freaked out about the word astrology. I call it the tropical system. So what that means is the movement of the sun and moon and wandering stars between the tropics. So you have Tropic of Cancer here, Tropic Capricorn here. And let me just point out that so Santos's sky wheel, and I have a team of people that work with me now. And one of the people on my team was able to take all that information, apply this into this sky wheel, and then add more information like the gates of Enoch system there. And then I have we'll get to the sun and moon stuff. But so the tropical system of the sun and moon moving between the tropics has nothing to do with the stars out here, the constellations that are rotating out here. So Leo, for example, is a position of the sun in the sky, has nothing to do with the constellation out here. And the reason the ancients did it this way is because the constellations out here shift through time. So that's why you'll have right now the constellation Pisces rises on March 21st right here at the equinox. Then eventually Aquarius will rise here, and then you'll be in the age of Aquarius. Then eventually Capricorn will rise here, and you'll be in the age of Capricorn. So those are constellations out here. This movement between the tropics are attributes of the sun, if you will. So let me move this chair, it's squeaky.
Yeah, no problem.
So Leo is the summer, the cat and heat. So this is the attribute of the sun in this position. And what that means is, let's just take August 1st, for example. The sun is in this exact position in the sky every August 1st. It never changes.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
the height. It's you're
Or
talking about when you tilt your head up to the sky. In the summer, you have to crick your neck to look all the way up, right? At Cancer and Leo, you have to hurt your neck to look up because it's if you're in the northern hemisphere. By the way, tropical astrology is a northern science. It was invented in the north, I think, by the Irish Druids. So you're talking about just at noon when you look up in the sky, the sun's either way up high or in the winter it's down low. Is that pretty much what you mean? By
Exactly. Okay, so way up high, you on June 21st, that's the peak up there. And then it's going to look really high to you because it's very close to you. So anything close to you in the sky is really high up. You have to tilt your head up to see. Anything far away in the sky is lower on the horizon.
Like we see that when you take the picture of the noon analemma time lapse all year, it looks like a bowling pin. And then the little part of the bowling pin is the highest part. That's the summer. That's Cancer right there. And then the bottom of the bowling pin is, the winter, right?
Yeah, I believe this was taken in Egypt. And so if I'll point out, so this is kind of a different angle on it. So this is a is it either rising or setting? I think this is a rising sun. So if you notice at the solstice, it's more inward. And then June solstice is more outward. So this sun at December, they're picking it up further along the circle because it's a circle. The sun is, they don't see
rising in the east, setting in the west, and depending on the season and the ring path that it's on, you're going to see it rising or appearing to rise more in the east during periods of the time where there's an equal amount of day and night in the northern and southern hemispheres, and it'll appear to set more east southeast in the winter months, for example, where we see where we see the sun for less amount for a lesser amount of time, where we have longer nights and shorter days, and then it's the opposite in the summers where we have longer days and shorter nights.
see it way out here. It's too far away in December. The sun is way out in the farthest circle, so it's too far away.
East, appearing to rise further east in the summer months.
So the person taking the photo doesn't pick it up until here.
Yeah, because they're in the north, and it's out, right, and it's out on the Tropic of Capricorn. The big, if you take the flat Earth map, it's the wider ring outside, and then you got the equator. And can you show the tropics real quick? I think that'll make sense for people.
Yeah, so the Tropic of Capricorn out here. Remember, not a constellation. This is the place. That's why it's called the Tropic of Capricorn, because this is a place called Capricorn. This is the place called Cancer, and then right here at the equator. So that's the next thing I was going to show is we have the place called Aries at the equinox here, and the September equinox here. You see how they're in the exact same spot, like this.
Yep.
This is a place called Libra. So when you now look at the circle, Aries, Libra.
Yeah, equinox. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I don't know if that's more of a confusing way. It's sometimes that's a little bit easier to understand than the analemo if you're learning it right off. But as that sun gets closer to you here in June, you more light because you're seeing more of it It's rising over here, so you have more daylight. So this wheel represents these positions. So this is, notice this is mid. It's in midway portion of this wave.
Right.
Mid.
Aries
So,
east,
and
Libra
then
west.
this would be the peak portion of the wave. So when this sun gets to noon, it'll be here. Well, it is already there, but you'll see it best at noon.
Right.
And then there's that. So the wheel is a literal representation of the sun in the sky. So if you take noon, that's your foundation right there. I mean, just in the word.
Yeah.
We got sine waves and torus fields. And so this is the closest point to the sun to you within a circle. For everyone on Earth is noon sun. That's the closest point of the sun to you. And that's, in my opinion, when we should be out in the sun at that closest point. And that's where we get the greatest benefit of the sun reacting with the minerals in our body, our cell salts. So the noon, so this would be noon. So this, if you're just looking at noon, the sun has these different positions. Spring will look over here, fall will look over here, and winter will look here. And I mean this literally, physically. You go out at noon at these different times of the year. This is June 21. This is September 23rd. This is December 21st, and this is March 21.
Yeah.
So when you do
That's
that, you
the
just
sky.
take it. Yeah, that's the sky. When you take a tree or a house or something that's fixed in that noon position for you, which when you're in the north, that's the south on your compass.
Yeah, you can just go outside with a compass if you're inside the Tropic of Cancer and point wherever south is. That's going to be right there. That's because, and it's highest in the sky because it's closest to you. Just like when you look down a street and there's 50 lampposts that are all 40 feet high. Way down the street, they look like they're 3 feet high, and then they disappear, but they're not. It's just you're under the closest one.
Vantage
So
point.
it looks way. You have to look way up to the lamppost. Just
So
because
let's
of the distance.
Yeah, exactly. So if we just put that back on the sky wheel, here, Cancer, it's high. This is why the sky wheel represents it up here, high. This is Enoch's sixth gate. Here, when you look at noon, it's low. Here. So when you look at the sun right now, I have it marked here. The sun is in Aquarius. So instead of being right here at noon, it's a little bit over here. And it's moving like this.
Yeah, you'll have to tilt your neck more and more and more because it's getting closer. Would you mind real quick, just hold up your flat Earth map again real quick, please?
Yeah.
So just point, you're in California, right? So point to California. So the first ring around is the Tropic of Cancer. So in the summer, the sun is there. That's why you have to crick your neck because it's the lamppost closest to you. You're like, whoa, it's way up above me. And then in the winter, as you're saying, we all learned in third grade art class. Remember when you draw a long hallway in 3D? Up comes down and down comes up, right? So in the winter, for example, Tropic of Capricorn, yeah. So that's why the sun looks so low in the sky to you, right? Because it's way out there. It's
So
so far
noon
away.
sun, noon sun right here
Yeah.
will look very high to me because it's close to me. Anything in the sky that's close to you, like an airplane. When an airplane's very close to you, you look up and you're like, oh, wow, it's really high. When an airplane's very far away from you, you look out and it looks low on the horizon. So here, when the sun is here, it looks lower on the horizon at that noon position.
Right. Yeah. Because it's winter and the sun's out at the Tropic of Capricorn. Yeah, exactly. That's very easy.
Yeah. And I have a whole, if we want to take it like a little bit further into syncretism, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'd love to go for it.
Okay, so I actually have my one hand watch on right now. So for the north, where I live in California, you can see that it's almost noon here. Wait, where's the camera?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so it's almost noon. So this would be the south on a compass.
Yep.
So this
Because
is south.
north is the North Pole because the Earth is a magnet. So
Yeah, so here you can see it says 12. So that's
Yeah.
12. And then when the sun sets over here in the
6.
west, it's at 18. And here is at 0 in the north because this is 0 light.
Or like 24, the 24-hour clock, because the sun travels 15 degrees on average, approximately 1,030 miles per hour through the zodiacal belt. So traveling through each zodiacal belt, zodiacal image or sign rather, approximately every 2 hours. And so in the east at between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., traveling through Aries, and then from 8 to 10 through Taurus, from 10 to 12 through Gemini, and then you've got the peak at Cancer at noon, and then again you just carry on, and then you've got again sun traveling from the east heading towards the west approximately. Again, this is when we're in equilibrium with regards to the sun's travel path during the equatorial ring path in the spring and fall equinox periods. And I forgot where I was going with that, but so 6 p.m. In Libra. So Aries, Cancer, Libra, and then as the sun moves further away from us, also depending on the season, it affects the time and things like that. But at 12 a.m. entering into Capricorn, and on the zodiacal wheel they have Capricorns at the top, like it's flipped essentially, and Cancer at the bottom. And so there's that.
Yeah, that's midnight. Yeah.
Okay, so then 6 a.m. over is the rises in the east. Okay, so this is when we talk about syncretism. We have
Great job.
Jesus.
Look, I would add in that the sun's travel path, Tropic of Capricorn, is at 23.4 degrees south latitude of the equatorial ring, and when it's in the Tropic of Cancer, it's closest to the center of the Earth, or the North Pole region, is at 23.4 degrees north latitude of that equatorial ring.
The scarab. At the noon position, the scarab, the dung beetle that sits on top of the dung. They roll the dung and they sit on top of the dung.
Yeah.
Okay, then so this is in a day, this is the peak position or that frequency that we call Cancer.
Right.
Okay, so then we have Jesus, the just one at Libra.
Cymatics.
The just one, Libra, the scales of justice.
Right, because the sun's going to set, right? It's being judged.
And it's, that's a good point. And so it's balancing out with rising sun over here. And then we have the scapegoat, the death of the sun in the day. 0 midnight. Capricorn, your scapegoat. Jesus killed. You get it?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, this is the rising point. The goat starts to climb. And then we have Jesus, the lamb, Aries over here.
Because it's Aries. Yeah, the spring and the head too as well. Yeah, and the year really starts
Jesus
there.
being a symbolic representation of the sun, just like Mithras, Dionysus, Horus, Krishna, Apollo, and countless others I've mentioned before. Horus.
First, it doesn't start January 1st.
Yeah. So in the Egyptian system, we have Ra, the radiant sun.
Yeah.
And then we have Set sun. Set kills his brother.
Osiris.
0. Oh.
And then Isis, the moon, resurrects Osiris's phallus up to Horus. Let me guess, Horus on the left.
Yeah, Horus on the horizon.
Yeah.
On the horizon. So again, the ancient teachings and the holy books are the foundation is tropical astrology. So that's the movement of the sun and the moon between the tropics. Okay, so that's why these positions have the names that they do. Nothing to do with constellation. Constellation came way after. That's called sidereal astrology. And I think it was actually done to confuse.
Because it is confusing, because I like that you explain, on your other wheel, you say, forget the names, just think of them as frequencies or angles or frequencies or vibrations, right?
Exactly. So let's go to angles.
Angels. Angles.
Yeah, angels or angles.
Definitely the Catholic Church mixed that one up. They did that. They turned angles into angels.
So let's just take Cancer at the top. So now we're talking about a year, a watch, we're talking about a day, but it's the same system. So if we just take Cancer at the top, the angle, so it's at this high circle here, and here's Capricorn at this low circle. But it's moving around like this, right? Here's the sun moving around like this. But the way you experience that from the ground, sunrise to noon to set looks like this. So this is an angle that you see from the ground. This is how the geometry of understanding things that move in the sky work. You can time lapse this yourself. Do not take my word for it. Go outside and time lapse video any sunrise to sunset, and you'll see this, because you're viewing something far away, close. Anything that's close to you is high in the sky. You have to tilt your head up to far away. So far away, close, far away. And that's anything in the sky. That's what it's apparent movement to you on the ground. This is what this looks like. So
Right.
This is an angle. So if you did Capricorn, it's going to be a lower angle like this.
Right. There's your chevron.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
Star Trek.
In fact, I saw in one of
Yes.
your videos, you had a time lapse,
I was thinking
probably on a
Mercury.
certain day. Someone was filming the Great Pyramid and the sun went right up to one side and right down the other on the exact angle.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say next is, I think that I'm sure there's many reasons, but one of the reasons is probably, these angles with different sized pyramids. I actually was joking with someone one time because I was trying to figure something out. And I said, you know what? I just need to build a pyramid. And I was like, oh, wait, someone already did that. I
You
was
know
trying
what
to
would be
figure out
great? Yeah.
sun angles. I'm like, the easiest thing to do is build a this and a that. And like, wait a second. Okay.
Wouldn't it be weird if the other two main pyramids, what if one of them's the equinox and the other one is the Capricorn?
Exactly. And these are questions that we don't have answers to because no one understands the system to go out and test all this. We know what it does. This is fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what they did to show the same fact is probably the truth of it. But if you don't understand this, how can you travel there and understand what you're looking at?
Right. Yeah. In fact, I actually did this. I was in Spain, I told you over Christmas, recording with Alex Michael, conspiracy music guru. His balcony on his villa faces almost due south. So that would be noon, at noon, the sun, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you just put your compass to south, and that's exactly at the top of that pyramid. At noon will be the top of that pyramid. So all you got to do is look left and see where it rose and then draw the same angle the other way, and you can see exactly when it'll set. And if you know how long it was when it rose, you know exactly what time it'll be when it goes down.
Yes. Now there will be maybe a 15-minute difference depending on what time of year, only because it's making different circle sizes.
Yes. Yeah. We'll get into that.
Has
Yeah.
slightly different speeds, but at June 21st, this would be exactly noon. And at December 21st, this would be exactly noon. So over here is about 15 minutes when it's at noon at Aries. This is just stuff that I've tested myself. And then about 15 minutes because of those circle sizes. So this is the mid circle. I didn't draw that very well. It's a big circle. So it makes these 4 points like this. Okay, so this is your sign of the cross. And that's what all crosses are representing: Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, Aries.
The cardinal points. Yeah.
If you took the photos at noon for an analema every day, and it does this,
Yeah.
it'll be straight up and down like this. If you take a afternoon, it'll tilt right.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to draw that real quick just so people can see it?
Yeah. And the reason being is just has to do with that perspective. If you take it in the morning time, this is for Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, all you Australia people. I understand what works for you too. It's so hard to get it all in.
Theirs is just upside down though. The fat part's on the top.
Yes, it just has to do with the fact that this part, well, let's draw theirs. My brain. Okay.
You're not used to drawing eights the wrong way. We've been drawing so many eights in our life, it's hard to draw them sideways.
Yeah. So this part is okay. Let me say this right. Let me make sure I don't mess this up. So this for us is close to us. This is Cancer. This is the closest part, so it's up high. This part is Capricorn, is close to them, so it's high. So you see the fat part, fat circle, and the fat circle, Capricorn. So that's their fat circle. It's
Because they live out on the Tropic of Capricorn. So when it's winter for us, when the sun's in Capricorn,
yeah, right. So they're in this on the fat part of the circle right here, and it's
Yeah.
closest to them. So it's going to be at the highest point. They're going to have to tilt. It's because it's closest to them. They're going to have to tilt their head up to see it.
yeah, they got to crick their neck because the sun's right over them because the Tropic of Capricorn goes right over Australia.
Right. Yeah, right there. Now, don't be confused though. Like, this doesn't change. This perception doesn't change the sun and moon's reality. They're moving on this vortex. You know, just how you see that vortex or that movement depends on where you're at. So just like an airplane in the sky, it's flying at 30,000 feet, whether it's way far away from you or really close to you, it's still flying at 30,000 feet. And it's going to look different. Your perception is going to look different. So that's why the system is this way. It doesn't matter where you live. This is the sun and moon's point of view.
Right.
So knowing that, then we can start applying the sky wheel to everything, the holy books, to life, to how we utilize it. So you
Right.
tell me where you'd like to go next, Steve.
Yeah, well, here we are now. So we are in, what's today? January 27th. So let's start with that. So people get confused about, the sun and the move, like let's say through the month. So that's the sun, I'm guessing, that little red dot, right?
Yeah. Steve, before we move on,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
now that we have all those like angles and kind of laid out and what that all means, I also want to point out this is also how a rainbow works. Okay. A rainbow is a circle. It's when the sun is behind you and water is in front of you. So if the person who takes the photo of the rainbow is in the north, let's say where I am in California, and they're taking a rainbow and the sun is down here in Capricorn, the rainbow is going to look very expanded out and it's going to have a real wide arc. You're just seeing half of that rainbow, but it's a full circle. So it doesn't have anything to do with a dome firmament. Firmament means the expanse. We can get into that later.
Yeah, we'll
So-
correct that myth too.
Yeah, it has to do with the person who took the photo and what sign the sun was in. So if you took a photo with the sun in Cancer and you live in the north and it's close to you, it's going to have a smaller arc.
Right. Yeah. And I say in that video, there's some skydivers who came from the sky. They can see the whole circle from above.
Oh, there's plenty of videos showing that it is a circle because the sun is a disk. This gets in the torus fields, but we don't have to go there yet. But just to understand that it's catching the edge of this disk right here. This is what it's showing you. So a torus field, on its side is a circle.
Again, a disk, I don't know what it is. It could be reflected. It could be sonoluminescence, star in a jar. So in some kind of like a contained environment, some kind of like ionized gas or plasma.
So this disc-like edge, because this part is a hole.
Yeah.
So it's showing the colors of this edge right here. So it's a circle.
Right.
It's easy to prove it's a circle. It's a circle. It's a circle. It just depends on when you take the photo and what sign the sun was in, because the sun is in different circle sizes, right?
Right.
So
Right. So the rainbows will be more arced and lower or more,
All the greats, like mathematicians, scientists, past, they do show, but I mean, it's a two-dimensional representation of the object, right? So like I've said before as well. First of all, the shape and size of the luminaries, it's independent of the shape of the Earth. Let me be clear. And where it looked like it could be like we just haven't got close enough to the sun yet, is my argument for that. And even when you take a photo, it's a two-dimensional representation of an image. So you can have a cone, you can have a cylinder that has a circular base, you can have a half sphere that has a circular base or a disc. And so she needs to be a little careful with that term.
Not so wide and probably
my
higher.
husband, she's
Maybe.
very smart.
I wonder if they change heights too as well. Do
No, at all.
It just depends on time of day.
All right.
So anytime you're out there on the internet and you see rainbow videos or, sun videos, you have to get a date, time, and location. You can't just take a rainbow. Oh, here's a rainbow with this arc, and here's a rainbow with
You're
this.
just talking about like naturally. I can make rainbows, and I've done it before, using crystal pyramids and reflecting on different surfaces, and then even like spraying like a with a sprinkler with with water particles in the air, creating the like the light spectrum as well. Not circular.
This arc, and here's a rainbow. The firmament is there. No, you need the date, the time, and location, because that'll tell you what sign the sun was in.
Right.
And then it makes sense. Oh, that has a wide arc because the sun was in Capricorn and I live in the north and it's at the wide part. No.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. So do you want to take us through the wheel? So also, if we can get into a real, like you don't have to go, but 144 about the 1 degree angle and 20, is it 13.22? Yeah. Just as you go along, but so every month the sun goes through one sign or frequency, let's call them, right?
Yeah.
Instead of calling them Aquarius or whatever, call them a frequency or a zone or a, call it, because people get, or if we call it Aquarius right now, just so people are watching, we're not talking about the constellation stars Aquarius. It's got nothing to do with this. That's just a position we're talking about in the sky.
It's an attribute of the sun. So in Aquarius, when you live in the north, you have winter. Oh, it's rainy, it's snowy.
Right, the Waterbury. Yeah, exactly.
It's telling you the position that the sun is in. Therefore, you're going to have this kind of weather.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the stars that have the picture of the man with the water behind drawn in it. That's what I'm saying, right? It's
Exactly.
I'll just, again, something I've said before so many times, but even with Capricorn and Aquarius, because she's talking about it, ruled by Saturn, and Capricorn being represented by a goat, Aquarius being represented by a human, and when we see Satan, which is a play on Saturn, we see him generally represented often as a half goat, half human, and then also connected with the color red, the element lead, and obviously the day of the week, or samedi en français, samedi in French. And what more can I say about this? Yeah, and so the 7 of wandering stars or original luminaries, they do rule over certain zodiacal images. And so you have 5 of the luminaries that rule over 2 different zodiacal signs, negative and positive, male, female, yin and yang, all that stuff, the duality piece, and then you've got the sun and the moon that rule over one individual zodiacal sign or image.
Forget the stars. We're just talking about a position and frequency at a time.
Yeah. So therefore, this has a specific frequency, so a wave, and your position to it will be different depending on where you live. So your position to that part of the wave. So, for example, if I'm in the north and the sun is in Capricorn, I'm at the outskirts of that wave, at the ends, where Australia is right next, close to that. Well, a wave is a vibration caused by a vibration that happens at the dielectric core. So you're closer to the vibration if you're in Australia and the sun is in Capricorn, for example. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because the sun is circling the tropic of Capricorn in the winter. So that would be the closest vibration to them and our farthest.
Right, exactly. So then that obviously is going to have an effect on their soil. They're going to have certain foods that grow. And then it's pretty safe to assume that's going to have an effect on the water within you, with the minerals. So that frequency has a specific effect on you, depending on where you are. And I always tell people is like, try to eat local, because that's the sun's frequency on its trajectory.
Right, in your area, it's built for you in your area.
It's specific to you. So right now, oranges are really big right now in California. This is when oranges harvest. So this is when you would eat oranges, and it changes throughout the year. And what you're taking in is this.
Gonzo, Johnny just gave me a link to a lot of her work. Apparently, she does have her own Rumble channel with playlists.
See this vibration.
Right. Yeah. That's all there is vibration, frequency, light is sound, it's vibration. That's all there is.
Yeah, and what the whole system is, I think the goal, I should say, the goal is to match we create a harmony with the sun within you. So you wanna match that harmony. So you become what, flat or sharp, too flat or sharp. You don't have a good harmony with the sun and moon. If, for example, let's just say you're eating oranges in the summertime, like it's that specific.
Right. Yeah. Because you are frequency and you are what you eat. And that is in you a frequency. Yeah. Same with the light and the air. Yeah. It makes total sense.
And that's why the cell salts work in a similar fashion.
I wonder if that's why people get sick sometimes when they go on vacation somewhere far. It's because we know it's not the bugs, the germs.
Oh, that's a really good thought. Yeah.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just their body's like, I don't belong here.
That's interesting. Oh, where's the one I wanted to show you on cymatics? Too many friggin' videos up. Sorry about that. I'll keep this playing, then I'm going to look at the cymatic.
How was I there yesterday or 3 hours ago? And now I'm here, maybe it's something to do with that.
Yeah, that's actually, well, that's a good point of that. When you understand the system, then you can start figuring out a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't claim to have all the answers to everything. I'm saying we got to learn the system first. The foundation is the tropical astrology and Taurus fields. Those are the two foundation, the two legends of the map. Like a map has a little legend that tells you, this means that.
Yeah, like the key, yeah.
Yeah, the key.
It's the decoder key you used to get in the Cracker Jacks box.
Yes, it's the decoder key. So you have the Taurus field, that's decoder key, and then tropical astrology, that's the decoder key. And then you can start looking at all the possibilities that you could figure out why all the phenomenons that we see happen.
Right, yeah. And it's not just the sun, because like you're going to show, the moon is doing its own thing on its own different degree too. It's on its own little Christmas tree or spiral as well.
Yeah.
And those two are having angles with each other, interacting with you as well. Like we know the emergency rooms and police stations are full on the full moon. People go crazy. They're lunatics.
Yeah. So the sun is going 1 degree every day up this vortex. Well, up this and down that way.
Yeah, in the skies. Now, is this at noon, or you don't really give a crap, or is this?
This is representing
the day.
A year.
Yeah.
But it also represents a day.
Right.
So this would be noon. It works both. So this is 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., 8 to 10, and then it goes perfectly.
Yeah, as a day clock. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. And then the sun's down in the underworld at night, obviously, after it gets from Libra, and then it's going, or sunset, and then it's going down to Osiris.
Yeah, and it's 180 degrees across in the north.
Yeah.
For us. So it's across, let's just look at that real quick. So if I'm here in California and this is my noon, midnight is over here. Well, we're here in Aquarius. Here's my noon out here. Here's my midnight.
Yeah, and it's dark for you because it's so far away from you around the back, so you can't.
Yeah.
So it's dark, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're in Antarctica, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So it's doing this 1 degree the sun. And then.
And by 1 degree, you mean it's just going 1 degree higher in the sky every month?
Yes.
Yes.
1 degree equals 1 day.
A day. Sorry, a day. Yeah. So every day, the sun will be 1 degree higher than it was yesterday, right? And or if it's coming down from summer to winter, it'll get 1 degree lower than yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So you don't have to crick your neck. You can crick your neck 1 degree less or more each day.
Yes. Yes. especially if you're, you need to be looking at that noon position to see these angles. If you're looking at sunrise or sunset, it's far out on the horizon. It's too difficult to understand that unless you go back to that other photo where you see it rising later and earlier or later and later.
Yeah, left and right. That was kind of my question. It seems like this sun part makes more sense on just say at noon.
It does.
It's just where the sun is in the sky at noon, right? It'll be real low if it's in Aquarius, and it'll be real high into the right if it's in Cancer.
Yes.
Right.
High in a wait, what did you say?
Sorry. If it's noon and the sun's in Aquarius, like it is right now. So the sun will be at noon, it'll be low in the sky. And would it be more left? Like if you were in the northern hemisphere,
Yes.
looking south at noon, the sun would be more left, right?
Yeah, but by barely, like 15 minutes.
Yeah. If it was October on the other side on the way down to Scorpio, it would be a couple degrees to the right. I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
And that is not, don't take my word for it. That's something everyone can go out and just see for themselves. Just once you understand noon, and this is why they say don't go out between 11 and 2 or you'll get cancer, sun cancer, right? This is, you understood noon, then everything else gets figured out.
Yeah, well, that's like I told Alex when I was watching. I was pointed dead south, and then I could see there was a very big white villa on a kind of a side of a mountain. I said, "That's noon, Alex." I said, "I can tell you without a watch when it's noon. The sun's right over that villa," and it was. But you're saying every day too, it'll start moving. It'll get a little more left to right of that villa eventually.
Yeah, and then it comes back down here.
Yeah, I got you. So it's going up and it's going a little left or right, depending on if it's getting some winter to summer or summer to winter. So it's going up or down and a little left or right. Either it's moving.
Yeah, because of its speed, actually.
Right.
It's not actually getting all the way in 24 hours around. When you look at Analema, that might be a more complete.
Oh yeah, obviously the Analema you can see the bowling pin is left and it's got a left and right side. Yeah, clear. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, the Analema is the map for this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, but within the year, it's completely balanced. It reaches its complete balance point.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's doing the sun. So this is sun doing that, and then the moon has an average of 13.22, and I explain how that number comes to be on other videos, but this is an average of degrees. So 1 and 3 is 4, and 2 and 2 is 4. Sorry, I heard something. So I was like, what's going on?
Are you sure you're homeschooling?
Yeah.
144, right? I've got Christian friends who think 144,000 we're going to fly up into the sky and get raptured.
I know. So this was something that I came to just in using and understanding systems and applying the systems. Like I'm using nature. I'm not making stuff up. I do explain how this number comes to be. And so, it's not a proof. It's just, whoa, that's interesting. So what I mean by the moon's doing an average of 13.22 degrees a day, this is factual, provable, is as it goes through these signs, it's only here 2 to 3 days. So if this is 30 degrees, 13.22, is here, then 13.22. Now it is an average. So some days it's a little less, might be some days a little more, might be 15. That's why we have 2 or 3 days it's in a sign.
Right. Yeah. It can be 2 or 3.
So notice I am not saying a constellation. It's moving from the Tropic of Capricorn to the Tropic of Cancer. So when you go on all those apps and you look up your moon sign, they may be wrong. Sometimes they'll be close because right now the constellations are kind of close. Like Aries is like here. So in the tropical, it's always at the equator. So when the sun is here at the equator, the moon is here at the equator, right here. This is always Aries. Now the stars, Aries is up here, Aries is up here. So when you look at the apps, sometimes they'll be a little on and then other times they'll be off because the constellations are not too far off yet. But through time, the constellations are going to be like this. and you're going to have Aquarius up here. So then what are you going to do? Oh, the moon is in Aquarius.
Yeah. And it won't have the right attribute. And I've been telling that to people too at the procession. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what, on March 21st, it's never going to start snowing just because Capricorn or Sagittarius are there. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not going to happen. It's going to have the spring energy no matter what.
Exactly. So for the moon, it works the same way. The moon has a noon. So to see those angles, it's easier to see the angles with the moon because you got 30 days you can keep attempting at it, where the sun, you kind of have to do a whole year. But so the moon noon, roughly 6 hours after its rise time. Is a little less. It's probably like 5:45, but roughly 6 hours after its rise time. So you look up the rise time for your area, count 6 hours, and that's where you'll see those same peaks. So the moon also rises like this to its noon to a point and then sets at an angle like this. So if this, for example, if this was a rise time, let's say the moon rose at 6 a.m., then you count later.
So, say, for example,
And
where
that-
I am in Ottawa, Canada, or just on the outskirts, the moon will be rising, or did rise, I mean, not will be, at 7:57 a.m. and will be setting at approximately 5:20 p.m. It is a new moon today, new moon in Aquarius. Next month it's going to be in Pisces. And so it does follow, again, also like a very cyclical path through the zodiacal belt as well, and even on full moon periods. And so she's right where it is hard to gauge where the moon is when it's traveling between, as we perceive it, the zodiacal images, where it could be like halfway between or 3/4 closer to one than the other, but still
That's going to be its noon
intelligently.
position.
Right.
So what you'll see there is when the moon's here, just like the sun, you have to tilt your head way up. And I have video showing all the, I don't know if I have all the positions, but I have the main points. But I do have a whole series that goes through a complete month of the moon in these positions. It's on a vortex too.
Mhm.
So it's moving up, 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 up. It's doing 15 circles up, 15 circles back down, average.
That's
Well,
what the flat Earth
one
map
thing.
gets. You know, the normal flat Earth model everyone uses. They just have the sun and moon orbiting around on one altitude.
Yeah.
They don't have it going up and down as well.
Yeah, especially the moon. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
1 degree is not that noticeable, but like 13.22 degrees, that's like quite a lot of altitude over a month, right? Because it's 14 days, or 14 and a half or whatever days up, and then back down, right? From no moon to full moon and then down again. That's a lot.
yeah, and it's so obvious. I'm like, this debunks the whole NASA moon thing in 2 seconds flat because you can go outside and see these positions. You know, the whole idea about like a globe and a 22-degree tilt or whatever. 22 degrees is like nothing,
Yeah.
you know, and then that's what, no, like it is so high. Like in California, like I have video on my telescope of me getting it. I had my telescope pointed straight up in order to get a Cancer moon.
Right. Yeah. You really got to go up. And like, you're going to get to this, but right now, for real, the sun is in Aquarius. You'll know the full moon, it'll be in Leo. It'll be dead across from it on Leo, correct?
Correct.
The full moon will be wherever the sun is, exactly across from it. It'll be how you know it's the full moon.
Correct. So I put here, like right now the moon is in Capricorn. Okay. That's not a constellation. That means it's low at that noon position. It's low in the sky. It's going to look low at moonrise and moonset too, because it's further out, but you're trying to see that circle that is making its height in the sky. So you want to see that at its noon position, and it will look low, you know, relative to Cancer. So here it's on its last crescent.
Why don't you do? Yeah, before you do that, how about let's do this? Can you just take the sun back to the beginning of Aquarius? Can you do that, or is this a pain in the ass? I know you got it set up, and just show us, because people say, "Oh, there's 13 moons," and they took the calendar out. What really happens is every month, while the sun goes through one frequency or sign, we'll call it, the moon goes through one of them twice. So it goes through 12 and the one again that it started at, right? So if the sun is there, what you would call the first crescent moon, wouldn't it be right at the beginning of Pisces, or would it be right?
Yeah. So
Let's say this. Yeah, let's say
we
the
would have
sun's
to go back to Capricorn,
okay.
or what's coming up. This is what's
Let's go to what's coming up. Let's show them what's going to
Okay.
happen.
Yeah. So it's in its right now, literally right now. It's in its last crescent here. So it's moving in towards the sun like this. This is
Right.
where it gets into its black phase. So these are two torus fields. So two frequencies, they come together. It won't be exact like this because that's when eclipses happen. But again, it's all about these angles. But they will pass each other. And when the moon, I call it the black phase or the transparent phase, transparent moon. And you won't see it right here. It's not that it doesn't exist. It still exists. It's just in this phase of no light. So, well, that gets kind of confusing with dielectric and magnetism.
Yeah,
but,
we can get into that later if we have time. Yeah, but it's like a phase cancellation. But like, let's say they were on a Christmas tree, let's call it. The sun's on the lowest bottom branch right there, and the moon isn't. Let's say it's
when
on.
when the moon is going through its waning crescent, when it's heading towards the new moon period, the crescent, the luminescent part is on the of the crescent is on the right hand side, and then when it's going towards a waxing gibbous, towards a full moon period, you'll see that the crescent or the illuminated part of it is on the opposite side. So it's on the left hand side. I don't know if I said right hand, but anyway, on the left hand side during a waning period, and then on the opposite side during a waxing.
On the left where you hung the orange bulb.
And where the obscuration is that's eclipsing some of the luminosity of the moon during certain periods. The way it's angled, it does not look like it's being obscured by the Earth, just by virtue of the shape of it, or possibly the sun either.
And the moon on its own Christmas tree is also right out there by the orange bulb on the lowest branch, right? They're actually right next to each other for real sky on their little vortexes.
Yes, and so you can't see it here 2 to 3 days.
Right. That's what they lied to us about. They don't count the no moon it's as if the moon doesn't exist.
This is not the new moon. Yeah.
Yeah, like they say there's a 28-day moon cycle, but that's because they're ignoring those days while it's right there.
Right. So they'll call this black. They'll put the black on the calendar and they'll say, "Oh, this is the new moon." As not the new moon, and it's not the way any of the religions do the moon to this day, because like the Jews, for example, are following what's written in the Torah, first 5 books of the Bible, and this is how the Bible explains it, like this. It's the same system. So they're following the correct system when they do their holidays.
Yeah, their holidays are correct. And the Book of Enoch also describes this system exactly.
Yeah. So here's the black moon or transparent moon, I call it. And then
still there, you just can't see it because the electromagnetism from both the toroidal fields are phasing. You're not seeing the light, but it's still there.
Yes, that's my theory. And so what happens is on sunset, sun will still be in Aquarius, but on sunset, oh gosh. Oh, I have my calendar. I can tell you the exact date.
Yeah, you want to show us your calendar? Actually, this is pretty cool. You make these, so you make your own lunar calendar each month, so you know where it is, right, from where you are.
Yeah, I have a team now, so I have them like trained. I'm gonna laugh at me, but I've been training them to do it, so I don't have to do these anymore. But I just check their work. And so this was Aquarius. So today's the 27th. The moon is in Capricorn. So I haven't put out my next calendar yet. I will. So the moon is going to move to Aquarius, you see here. And then on the 1st, there are 30 days in
what, January? Is it 30, 34, 31 in January?
Yeah. So 31st or the 1st, what happens on that night at sunset is then the first crescent moon. It's out for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe.
Right.
And this starts the new month. So this first crescent, that's my little crescent. First crescent is the new month, which starts off in Pisces.
Right. Because the moon already the last month was already started crescent, then it went to half, then full, then you get half and crescent again, and then the black moon or no moon. And then it laps the sun and moves into the next sign, right?
So from the first crescent, you count 7 days, and it'll be half. From you count 7 days, it's the end of the third sign,
right?
And then full. So
that's why you find that across from it on the wheel, right?
And that's still in Aquarius. Yeah, 7 more days, 3 signs, end of the 3rd sign will be half. Now, this is observable. You can go out and count these days and see this is exactly how it falls. There will be a slight discrepancy depending on what time the moon entered. So you might see it a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what time it entered. So very, very slight. But I'd say 8 times out of 10, it's like exactly like this.
And you'll know now because we know the sun right now is in Aquarius. So we know when it's the full moon this time, you're going to have to look way up at 5 or 6 hours after moonrise, right? It's going to be way up in the sky. Not as high as Cancer and Gemini, but pretty damn high. So you're going to even know how high the full moon is. That's why sometimes you see the full moon's really huge and low, right? And sometimes they look kind of small. It's just how high and far they are.
Yes. Yeah. So this first crescent turns into a second crescent and a third crescent, 4th crescent, 5th crescent, 6th crescent, 7th crescent. Okay. So that's 7. 7th crescent is a half moon. 7, 7. And then where's my little black? Then it goes back over here. Now the sun has moved forward now. The next time, the first crescent will be in Aries. The sun has moved forward in Pisces. So it comes, remember, it started the first crescent in Pisces. The sun will move into Pisces. And then when it's in its black phase, it's back into Pisces. So this is 28 days here. See? From here. 7, 14, 21, 28, and
Right.
then 3 days. Right here.
That's where everyone's getting confused. That's where they lie to us and say it's only a 28-day moon, but they're skipping this. And this is where everyone goes, oh, these should be called months or moons. And you're like, yeah, because the moon just went through Pisces twice. It started in Pisces, it went through all the other 12 or 11, and then it did Pisces again.
Right. So let's back up a little bit. We had the first crescent in Pisces that's coming up. Remember, the moon is right here. So it's going to enter the black phase. In a few days, it's going to come out right there.
Because the sun will be there as well, because the sun's been moving that way all month as well. The sun's going one sign for the month. Yeah. So the sun gets there. That's where it gets lapped by the black phase.
Yeah. So as the moon comes around, then it's actually not the moon lapping the sun. It's the sun is actually moving faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so this is its black phase. And so the first crescent will be in Aries, and the next month the first crescent will be in Taurus, and the first crescent will be in Gemini. So every time it has a first crescent in one of these signs, it has to move through the same sign in its black phase. So there are 13 signs in a month, not 13 signs in a lunar month, a lunar year, not 13 signs in a lunar year. And then this whole series that this moon moves through is an average of 354 days. It's 10 days less than the sun. So you can't divide 364 and then come out with 13, because the moon only does 354. That would be 27.
People are like, there should be a 13 zodiac sign. You're like, these have nothing to do with
its own. It's because of a field perturbation, like a disturbance in the field.
The apple comes down, around, and back up its butt, right? I mean, the apple is a total. It's just
that's
so
why
slow.
that's why they use Apple. I'm trying to find my Stan Tenen.
It's the funny thing, like with Newton, that stupid story about how he discovered gravity by a apple on his head under a tree. Like, clearly they're talking about this.
So one of the people on my team made this for me. So yeah, the apple. So energy flowing out, back in. This is immediate though. Like in its natural rate of induction, it's just like fast. That's why you get that shape that I showed you before. It's immediate. We can't even comprehend how fast. But right here at the plane of inertia, this is where Earth resides. Plane of inertia, Eartha, energy at rest. This is a 0 point. And this 0 point expands out like this. So this would be the torus field all around. So you have the Earth, which is the physical, where light is slowed at its slowed rate.
Which is that yellow dashed line in the apple in the middle.
Yeah.
That's the Earth.
If I turn it like that, if I take it, here's the dash line and turn it this way.
Yeah.
So this is the physical, and all around here is the metaphysical. This is magnetism. Look, this is how a magnet works. Like the reason we know this is absolutely true is this is how a compass works. A compass works because the earth is a magnet. And then a magnet, the way a magnet works is not the way they told you in school. So when we talk about key or legend of a map, you have to understand how torus field works. Then you can apply it to the earth and all the that happen on earth. So Ken Wheeler and Stan Tenen, they came to the same conclusions using completely different methods. Stan Tenen used the Torah and proved with scientific method that the first 10 words of the Bible in Hebrew, the shapes make a torus field. And then Ken Wheeler proved the same thing using ferrofluid and glass to show the torial fields of a magnet. So two guys came up with the same conclusions using two completely different methods, and this is our Earth. This is how it works. So I said in one of my videos, I'm like, when you take a globe, a spin globe, hollow Earth, concave Earth, flat Earth, it's all explaining a torus field. Right turning. This torus field is right turning. It's globe-like. This is all energy. It's not physical. The physical is the flat or the level. Then
That's what I was saying to Dave Weiss. I was saying that's one of the problems the flat Earth community is having is they're still stuck in this Newtonian physical BS Jesuit science. So like you said, you showed me that video. Ken Wheeler was on Globebusters. He said, I've always said we live on a plane. And for an hour, they tried to get him to say he's a flat earther. And he's like, the earth is 99.9999% metaphysical. It's the giant torus. The earth's just a little slice in the middle. That's like saying your grandma's a toenail because she has one. That's it. You know what I mean? The earth is 99.99. So no, the earth is not flat. The plane of inertia where we live on, which is the real firmament, not up high the dome, right? We're standing on the firmament.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So the firmament means the expanse. So that would be from this dielectric core, the expanse of light, the white light expands, which includes the skies. All right.
So I'll share my screen. How do I do that? I've got a Nicole Murphy folder here. So you get to see here's my dodgy graphics. Here we go.
Oh, that's better than mine.
See that? Can you see that?
Yep.
Or am I? Yeah. You can see that graphic there?
Mm-hmm.
Why is my videos not on? Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah, so that's sort of what you're talking about. We've got the big torus field around the outside. And then you kind of explain it. I like how you explain the hourglass. So I threw one in there in the middle. And I like how you explain it, right? You say as the sands are coming down, slow down when they get to this choke point. And that really is where the earth is, the plane of inertia. That's not flat earth, by the way. I could only find a flat version of the globe. So I had to just draw a nice small round. But yeah, so that's where we live. The rest of it's metaphysical. But as you were just saying, people, even in the flat earth community who understand this torus model, they're drawing all the luminaries, the apparent luminaries, way up here in the top of the red. And that's not true, right? They're down here. What we call the apparent sun, moon, that's all down here in the middle. That's what
within the expanse. Yeah, they're set within the firmament, which is the expanse there in the center. And the reason the Earth looks, if you look out and it seems domed, is because the energy is curving around up at the top of your, or even on the sides. The energy is curving around and then back into the center. So that's why it seems like there's a dome out there. But the crystalline structure, for example, like if you look at Ken's magnet under a ferrocell, you can see even in your example there, those little points, all make these diamond shape, these intersecting points.
Yeah, the lattices where each of the webs intersect, or the lines. Yeah,
that's your sacred geometry. That's where every shape exists with torus field.
Yeah, and that's what people are calling the crystalline structure, or the dome. People are calling that the dome, but it's just the torus field. It goes under us too. That's the thing, is like the Bible. A lot of the Christian, I don't want to rip on Christians actually, but a lot of the flat Earth problem is we have Christian literalists taking shit. It's not talking about waters above and waters below. It's talking about energy flow, water, like drinking water.
Yeah, exactly. I pointed that out in my video. Like it's the flow of energy,
Particles.
like a waterfall, and that's just how a magnet works. Like I'm not making this up. It's how probably the best
Great ways with
person in the world who understands magnetism, Ken Wheeler. If someone wants to have a debate about the Earth and the phenomenon on the Earth, you first have to understand how a magnet works.
Yeah.
And the best person in the world is Ken Wheeler, and
Yep.
and then also Santos explains it in his own ways, and I just see myself as a bridge to their work, trying to make it a little bit more simpler. But it's not something I'm making up. You just have to apply it. So we could debate it, within understanding a torus field. Like, oh no, it could be here, it could be there, blah blah blah. But if you don't understand all those words or a torus field, like you're not in the debate. Like we can't move forward. We're still stuck in reality.
Yeah, and that's you and I talked a little bit about this on Telegram. So here's the problem. NASA says space is a vacuum. And then flat Earth people right away go, shit, space is a vacuum. We live in a pressurized gas system. Therefore, the firmament must be a dome. There has to be a dome. And you're like, before you even need to put a dome in your model, you just first have to make sure there is space and it's a vacuum. Prove it. You just stuck a dome in your model just because you have to account for some alleged vacuum in space.
Right.
So this, and like the sun is a big ball of burning hydrogen, helium, whatever the hell. And so they're like, okay, we'll just throw then a big burning ball magically levitating around us in a circle, and then it's like, you got to first prove it's a ball of fire and hydrogen. You got to keep putting wood in the campfire all night, let alone your campfire doesn't fly up into the air and start rotating around in a circle. Maybe you've got to stop putting stuff in your model just because the other side said that's what it is. And that's what I've always said. This is going to get us into the 24-hour sun and Jaron. And by the way, I'm very good friends with Jaron. He's always been super cool to me. He's had me on Glowbusters a lot in his own show and even his private chat.
Yep.
I'm not throwing him under the bus.
Yep.
What I'm saying is he's not really understanding this model correctly. And a lot of flat earthers they're not getting how this all works and how it could work and how it does work. Again, the firmament, we're seeing at it, terra firma, we're on the ground. It's the expanse. We don't need a dome. There is a dome all around us. It's called the toroidal field, right?
Right. And it's the Occam's razor. The simplest explanation must be the true explanation. So how does a compass work? Oh, because the Earth is a magnet.
Yeah.
So if the Earth is a magnet, then you have to understand how a magnet works. And that's where we get into the torus field. That is Occam's razor, the simplest, the beginning, the foundation. So I said tropical astrology and torus fields. That is the foundation of everything. The one, the all is a tomb. The one, it's one field.
Yeah, Atum is the Egyptian creator god of everything, and yeah, it means one also. Yeah, it's all one. That's what's funny is, what's his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson? He said the Earth is an oblate spheroid, an oblate spheroid, or whatever you call it. It is. Like I said, we got to stop calling the ground the Earth. That's one. It's not even 1/100% of what the Earth is. Most of the Earth is metaphysical. The Earth is an oblate spheroid. You can see it. I'm showing you right here. It's a torus. It's a donut.
Yeah.
So he's kind of telling you half. Yeah, he's like telling you half truth.
Exactly. They tell you kind of in plain sight. So it's not that there's physicality of the spheroid. The physicality is the level plane. That's the physical at the plane of inertia, energy
Right.
in the magnet, and then the energy around makes that shape. That's all it does.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any other shape. You cannot take a magnet and see its field and see any other shape. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I showed you this. Now, I don't know if this is real or not, but I got this back in like the mid 2000s before CGI and all that crap and AI, AI and all that, not CGI. Allegedly, this is the dielectric center at the North Pole. It was supposed to be like a Russian military plane flying over. So that would be like where the Borealis is and all the projection come out of. But so this would be like the dielectric core, the top of where the apple core is, or not really up there, but the middle of the apple, like where the seeds are. I thought people might want to see this. And that's pretty crazy if that really is it.
Well, my theory has been that the reason you can't go over the north is that the life exists between the tropics. When you get
Yeah.
outside of the tropics, that's where the energy wants to suck your energy back in field. In other words, death. So if you go out from Antarctica and walk all the way out, you're eventually going to die, because there is no, the sun, the life bringer, is between the tropics. So
Yeah.
you would have to have another sun or Taurus field way out there in another realm in order to continue on. And I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but it may be that we are only contained within this Taurus field until after death.
Yeah, where would you put oh yeah, this is what I want to, we're going to get to this because the Freemason sign, you know, with the two cones. I'll just show that graphic one more time. Hold on. This is the Freemason sign. It's also those two cones sticking up and down, the yellow and the red one.
Yeah.
You were explaining, you know, how the luminaries we see, the apparent sun and the moon, right down in the yellow here, are the opposite really of what's happening up in the red part, right? And that's actually apparent too. It's not real, but that's the source of the wave or the vibration. Yeah, can you, I'll stop sharing. Maybe can you draw that out and explain that to people? I was using this model, you know, so I made this so they can understand, because a lot of, like, if we look at the one I'm sharing right now, a lot of people on the moon and shit up here, like I said, in the top of the red thing. But where do you think like our stars are? Do you think they are up in the red thing, or the ones we're looking at? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
So, yeah. Okay.
Are they in the expanse as well? Are the stars down here in the expanse, or are they?
Okay, so this gets into like just plain fun theory, but it's all working within a magnet, how the magnetic field works, right? So just want to say that first. So on my channel, I mostly focus on what's happening right here, which is within the expanse, the sun and moon and how they move on this vortex right here. Okay, so this is the foundation of understanding first. So what you're talking about is kind of next level, and we can go there.
I think we need to, because
Let's leave
to
this.
understand the 24-hour sun, Nicole, we have to go next level. Otherwise, that's going to make sense. We have to do it.
Right.
There's a lot of people waiting for this video that we're making right now because they're confused and they want to understand, and they know we have the gravy. So I would really like to give the gravy if you have time. I want to. I'd love to.
Okay, and then
I haven't seen this yet.
so this is Earth and the expanse, what they call the firmament. So Earth, like down here,
I don't believe the firmament is the firm ground.
sun, moon, and
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe
wandering stars, and this is what we see. But the rest of the field is up here. The rest of the torus field of the Earth is up here. So
like, we're just in the pinch of, let's say that was an hourglass. We're like in the neck of the hourglass almost, right? And then the top part is like the top of the hourglass.
yeah, this is Henning's model. So here's the Earth plane, the expanse, and then this is where he did the first sentence in Genesis.
Yeah,
Right
that's
here.
the shape he made. That's the shape if you wrapped it around a toroid from
Yeah.
inside out. Yeah.
So
What's funny is that's the sign for Superman. They know something. That's on Superman's chest.
yeah, I did a post about Superman one time, but I didn't catch that. Yeah, good catch. Yeah. Okay. So within the Earth plane is the what we see, the apparent sun, moon, wandering stars. Okay, but we have this field,
Sapphire too,
right? So what the heck's happening?
or diamond.
So I did talk to Santos about this too, and he concurred. So the theory is that when this frequency of the sun, so it's basically the Earth is a torus field, the sun is a separate torus field. So it's like your body is a torus field, but then each cell is a torus field. Your eye is a torus field. So the Earth's torus field is filled with other torus fields, and they're called stars.
Yeah.
Now the sun presents magnetism, and in my opinion, stars present dielectric light. So it's an inverse of the center of the field. But so up in the hourglass, the chalice, the Holy Grail up here.
I'm just going to show a close-up of cymatics. There's so many other videos, so many more videos out there, but I can't freaking, like, it's so hard to find them. Just a short. Vibration. Vibration. Very interesting. I'm still gonna. This is gonna be a long video. I had a meeting, a virtual one, for 2, and I just got canceled on me. So again, I plan my days according to these things, and then when I get canceled last minute, the person's very sick. I feel bad, but Bible search, because he was talking about the firmament. So just do a search. This is the King James Version of the Bible. There's 15 results for firmament mentioned in the Bible. And let's see what they have to say. I've already looked through these, but this is for you as well. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Okay. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. Okay. So yeah, I could see kind of so far. More into it. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. I do say that we experience heaven and hell here on earth, heaven being a representation of the summer months, and hell being more correlated with the hell, and also us, our perception of reality dependent on our own works, on ourselves at the individual and collective level, would make us experience this earth plane as more of a heaven or hell experience also. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Lights in the firmament. Right, so the lights, the luminaries in the sun and the moon, they're not on the ground, they're not on earth. They're within this cosmos. And that there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. This is a divine clock. Praise ye the Lord, praise God in his sanctuary, praise him in the firmament of his power. This is his vast, expansive power, is what they mean by firmament in that. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creatures was the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above, apparently like a crystal that was light blue in cover, as described in the Bible as well. And could this be the great crystal again that is possibly like what the dome is comprised of? And under the firmament were their wings straight. So even with winged species, birds, obviously they're underneath the firmament, where they're, and above the earth. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. And then it goes on from there. Firmament, it was above the heads of the cherubims. There appeared over them as if it were a sapphire stone, and the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Okay, so that's just some Bible verses around the firmament.
Is where we have this frequencies moving, which we call sun and moon. Let's just focus on those. Let's just focus
And again, say what Tesla said, because it's
light is no more than a sound wave in the ether.
So those are sound waves, and those are sound vibrations in the ether. They're not balls of fire and rocks flying around up there magically.
Right. So at the big part of this force field up here, we experience that as Capricorn down here on Earth at the big wide part here. So this, you could say, is the what do we want to call it? Source of that sound wave.
Yeah, it's the source vibration in the ether,
Right. And this is the apparent.
which is the illumination. Is this why, do you think, there have been a lot of videos recently of people catching two suns right behind, not far away, right behind each other, like sun behind the sun?
I don't know, because
Do you think the source sun is luminescent as well? You know,
well, okay, so I haven't publicly said this yet, but
yeah.
my theory is that at the Arctic, when the sun is in Cancer, they're experiencing the source sun down here, and that's why they get that 24-hour sun here.
Yeah,
Where
because
in
it's the
California-
opposite. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So down on Earth, when this up in the top of the hourglass, when the source vibration, we'll call it the sun frequency, is down low, like getting toward the neck of the hourglass, we see it as way high up in the sky, and it's tight and inside the Tropic of Cancer, of course, because it's a smaller ring.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so so maybe that's easier to look at here would be Cancer. When it's high in the sky for us, this source frequency low within the Earth goes in the small ring there. So that's why it makes a small ring on Earth.
Right.
So then my theory is on the Arctic 24-hour sun, they're seeing the source, where me in California, I'm only getting 14 hours. So I'm seeing an apparent sun at 14 hours, and they're seeing 24-hour the source sun. And that's
because
probably
you're
why it
further
feels
out.
different.
Yeah, you're actually more out near the ring of Cancer than inside.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could draw that kind of differently, but I don't know.
I had a lot of graphics for this because I've done some work on how I think this works, so we could talk about it too. I'd love your opinion. Now, what's going on with the 24-hour sun? What you're saying? So, when it's called Capricorn, when the sun's out on the Tropic of Capricorn, what we call winter in the north, the sun's really low in the sky, just like you have your finger. It's because Earth is right under that. So people got to remember the plane we stand on, the flat Earth, is also the sun and the moon are down in that part. They're not way high up the hourglass. But the real source sun, ironically, is at the top of the hourglass because it's a wave, it's a frequency.
It's at the extremity. So
Yeah.
before the energy goes like this, it's at the very tip of the extremity, and you're seeing the extremity of a wave. So if here was where the beat started, you're seeing the extremity. Oh, you guys can't see that. You're seeing the extremity way out here, like in the tropics are happening in here.
Yeah.
So the source, you should draw that the other way.
Yeah, because now don't draw it backwards. You draw it the same way.
The source here, this is where the vibration is happening. And then from here, you're seeing the end of the wave.
Yes.
So in the middle here between the tropics, so this is between the tropics, you just are experiencing apparent sun.
Yeah.
And then out here at the extremity, because the sun is up here at the extremity, and Antarctica is experiencing the extremity out here. So remember, it's a big old circle,
Yes.
right? So the energy is flowing
Yes.
all the way around. It's finding that edge of that circle, and the sound wave is just going all around. So I have another theory. This is just one of my theories of how that works with a torus field. And I am open to other theories within a torus field. But when you start getting into crazy land, like this is Occam's razor right here.
Yeah, I'll show you mine too, but you show me yours, I'll show you mine. But what I liken it to is, let's say you're at a rock concert, right? Just in a club. The guitar player's amp is on stage. Let's call that your source sun up there.
Okay.
That's the guitar player's amp on stage, right? You go take a pee in the bathroom in the back of the club through 3 doors, 5 doors down. You can still hear the same guitar amp. You can hear the guitar music coming through in the bathroom. It's the same wave that came from the amp, but the guitarist didn't bring his amp into the bathroom with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're just catching the tail end of the frequency, the vibration.
Right.
And that's how I think of what your theory is. The source is the amp, and we're just down here. We can't see the source. We're in the bathroom peeing. We can't see the band. So that's what we get. The apparent.
Right.
Does that make sense as an analogy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so if you think of any sound wave, you and I have talked about this. If you're too close to the sound, it's really intense. And then if you're too far away from the source sound, that wave, like you said, you're in the bathroom, is less intense. And it's that middle part that's the sweet spot. So that's life between the tropics, right? That's the sweet spot of the sound wave. So when we're talking about these 24-hour suns and how they feel, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. It feels intense because my theory is like that is the source. You're experiencing the source sun, not the apparent sun.
Yeah, and you and I don't know if we want to go crazy down here, but you and I were talking about how there's all the life is in the tropics, and that when you go up on a mountaintop when you're supposed to be closer to their alleged fireball nuclear furnace sun, it's colder up there and there's no life, which is weird. So like you and I were talking about, maybe the heat isn't actually the sun. It might be the biology reacting with the sun vibration that's causing the heat. That might be a little too crazy town for right now.
Well, Eric Dollard said the sun isn't hot because it's a hole.
Right.
It's the center of the torus. But going back to, oh crap, I had a thought.
All right, I'm sharing my screen, so go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, I wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead. I put it back to you.
Oh, so I think in my video I actually said it's the apparent sun to the apparent sun. I was having a hard time, like, how do I explain this? Like, make sense to people.
Well, the Freemasons have the black sun in the center as the real sun, and then the source, what you're calling the source on that diagram, would be the next apparent sun, and then down. Yeah, I understand.
Well, the black sun would just be the dielectric core, is the
Right.
whole, of course.
Whole, yeah.
What I was going to say is this energy flow. If this is source sun, they're seeing at Antarctica.
The black hole is what she's talking about. Is like in the center of a magnet. You like this with Ken Wheeler as well, where they have like that dark core center. Anyway,
The apparent sun is going to turn clockwise, and what they experienced was this counterclockwise, right? So you have converging and diverging energy of the field doing exactly what the field does, but you're witnessing it within the expanse, so going really slow. You don't get to experience the stuff out here.
It's moving too fast to Mexico.
Right. So you get to have this amazing experience living within this expanse where the flow of the torus field is slow, so you can see it. And so now that's exactly what it did was parent sun move that way, they experience that way, and this is how a torus field flows.
Right. And this is also like Earth means for ether. And the ether is they say the ether has its one foot in the astral, 1 foot in the physical. So the ether is the land of dielectricity, magnetism, and electricity. That's the ether. It's metaphysical. You can't touch it, taste it. It's there like a wind. You know what I mean? But it's like the wind is also another anagram. Air and ether are synonymous. So if people can't get this toroidal field science in their head, and they can't figure out the sun is not a hot ball of gas, they aren't going to get what really happened, I think, in Antarctica. Which you want to show some more, or else I can pull mine up and then talk.
Let me say this real quick.
Yeah,
Let me
go
draw
ahead.
it on this side instead. Okay, let me draw it on this side instead. So the source light on this side down here, they're experiencing 24 hours. And so you have flow moving. There's the sun this way, parent sun this way. This is just how energy flows within the torus.
Yeah.
I draw it on this side. Maybe it's a little bit clearer to understand. So this is moving this way. Let me see.
I totally get that. I also I get what's his name, Lindsay Harris, Tomb of Illumination or whatever. I think there you go. Yeah, I think this is what's called parabolic refraction. That's what I think is happening.
Okay.
Dave Weiss is calling it the coffee. Hi, Dave. I know he's watching this for sure. Dave Weiss. He calls it the coffee cup caustic or something like that. Let me share what I've got here, and then
Yeah.
you can tell me if you think I'm not, or if I'm not. So, so before I get into that, I just want to show this. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, this should be full screen now. So this is just a radio dish. Now the way it works is this thing out here. Can you see my mouse circling around? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. The way it works is the radio station or signal or tower is miles away, 50 miles, 100 miles, maybe 500 if it's AM. The beams come into this dish and it's set up, it's parabolic. It's set up in a way where no matter where the beams come in, they will all bounce back and meet at a center point somewhere. That's why this little microphone thing is facing the wrong way, right? The radio station's, 50 miles back here, but this isn't facing the radio station, it's facing the dish, because all the signals bounce off and then they collect here in what I call a sweet spot, right?
Okay.
So in other words, you can't, if you put that microphone here near the dish, even though there's signals bouncing off it, you won't hear it. You won't get the TV station or the radio station. They all bounce back here. And I have a diagram. Wait till you see how I've been. Watch how dodgy I'm getting here. All right. So up in the right corner here, you can see there's a parabolic mirror and a spherical mirror. That means one's a circle and one is shaped like, guess what? A torus field, an oblique spheroid, or part of one, a side of one. Now you can see when the light sources come in, see anywhere they come in from the left to the right, all of them will bounce back to point F, but they will never bounce back before point F because the radio station transmitter isn't moving. You see what I'm saying? Wherever that tower is that's broadcasting the radio signal, it's not flying around in a circle, it's sitting still. So all your TV guy has to do, or your radio guy has to aim the dish to where it all starts picking up the signal at point F, because the dish is built with that thing right there where F is. See what I mean? So if he's got the angle of the dish wrong, those signals won't meet at the microphone. It won't pick up.
Yeah.
But so, and on a spherical mirror, there's a problem because you can see on the right here, because this other one on the left comes out more straight like a toroidal field. When it's totally round, what happens is you get distortion because the higher they come in, they start bouncing at a weird angle. Can you see F has a real focused point? And then the one on the right is more like a weird, see, it's like distorted. See that? It's not focused.
Okay.
So on the left, over here, I have another parabolic mirror. Now the blue ones coming in are just radio waves. So you can see they come into the dish, no problem, and they bounce down. And this is this green looking Dr. Seuss. That's like where you put the coaxial cable. That's where the signals would all solidify. And you'd have an apparent radio station right there, right? Not in the dish. Now up here, I've put what you call the source sun way up at the top, right? Like you're saying, at the top of the toroidal field.
Okay.
And that's the sun disk circling high up in Sagittarius and Capricorn. Like you said, when it's Sag and Cap, even though down here on Earth, it would be low, up there, it would be the top of them, right? That's what you just drew. It would be way up at the top. So look what happens. I extended on the left the parabolic mirror or radio dish, let's call it, up like the toroidal field. Okay. Now the source sun, which is still within the toroidal field, their waves start coming down and bouncing to a specific point. See that? The yellow ones converging. Yeah. Now down here in the white, that's supposed to be a side view of the ice wall. Okay. So Union Glacier, where they took these guys, is almost, it's not at the tip of the ice wall and then you see the ocean. Where I fucked up is I had to put in South America in, you know what I mean? Like we're supposed to be looking side on from the white and the blue, the water, the ocean. But then I had to put South America in there because I couldn't rotate it. Right. But anyway, because of the way the I don't want to call it the dome, but we'll call it the toroid. The torus boundary is shaped because it's a parabolic. It's not spherical. It's a parabola.
Well, it's the way the energy flows.
Right. So this is the 2D side model. You'd have to think of this happening in 3D all around.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is they take these guys to Union Glacier Station, which look where it is. It's right under where these waves come in. And because the source sun, like I said, the radio station is not circling around. The broadcasting tower for the radio station or the TV station, it's still. But the source sun, like you're saying, it's flying around in a circle around the giant Sagittarius Capricorn upper circle. So this thing's moving around in a circle. That's where I wrote apparent sun circling. So they're standing down here. See where the green arrow is? seeing a reflection or a sound wave reflection. And I made another graphic of that cool you did with the sound wave. You see what I'm saying? It's just like the radio station isn't really there. It's 50 miles away, but your parabolic dish picks it up here. And what I'm saying is Union Glacier Station in the parabolic acoustic refraction sweet spot, as they call it, is having an apparent 24-hour sun, but yet these islands right nearby off the tip of South America where they flew, they're not having a 24-hour sun, right?
Right.
Because the real apparent sun is in the north at midnight. So let's say this is midnight. So the real sun would be way the hell over here. I've got some more graphics for this. But see, they won't take them here. How much ice wall is left from Union Glacier Station all the way left to the back of the toroidal field? Are they having a 24-hour sun? Or is it like the radio dish where it's all here? And you'd have to think of this in 3D. So I've got another. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. That's really nice. I mean, I think this is exactly my point. Is you apply the legend, the map, the key, apply the key, and you can really start trying to figure this stuff out. But
so because like you said, light, the sun's not a ball of fire. It's light, sound, and frequency. It's illuminated sound frequency. So those frequencies.
Tesla said that.
Yeah, well, as you said, Tesla said. So then I took your video. This is great. See, I think this went over people's heads when you put out your 24-hour sun video. So now, and it might have went over my head too. Now we're, instead of looking side on like we just were, we're looking bird's eye down, right? We're at the top of the forest field. So here's, I did some editing on you. I hope you don't mind.
This is an app that shows how a sound wave would work. Remember, a wave is just a product of a vibration. So if you imagine this being the sun pushed out at the extremity of the torus field at the top, and then the people in Antarctica are at the extremity of the earth, and light is no more than a sound wave in the ether.
Now keep in mind, this is a circle, not a parabolic, right? This isn't torus shape. So what's going to happen in your demonstration is not the exact shapes that would have happened if this were not a circle and it were a torus. Does that make sense?
Okay.
But you'll get the idea. So watch. You nailed it here. I just think this went over everybody's head.
What Tesla says, if we hit play and that sound wave finds this edge, and then this is where it would be seen or heard. So that's how the wave would be able to be seen in the South Midnight Antarctica sun, a 24-hour sun. It's an apparent sun to the apparent sun, which is really just a frequency on an S curve as it flows through the torus field. And then this is where it would be seen or heard. So that's how the wave would be able to be seen in the South Midnight Antarctica sun, a 24-hour sun. It's an apparent sun to the apparent sun.
So I'll pause this real quick. So now, because let's say it's midnight right now, right? They're standing on Union Glacier, and we know at midnight for them, the sun has to be across the North Pole, like you said, right? It's way over here on the right. That yellow ball is the apparent sun. But as you showed, those waves go around the whole toroidal field and bounce into this shape. So isn't this what you were describing? They're on Union Glacier looking what they think is south, meaning away from the North Pole.
Yeah.
And they're seeing the sun right here, just as I showed the radio signals bouncing off the parabolic mirror to the focus point. In other words, I'm saying these guys took them to a sweet spot.
Yeah.
They didn't take them over here. There's no refract. See, where it says south?
Yeah, there wouldn't be a apparent or source sun because it's outside the bounds of the top of the torus.
Yeah, because the parabolic refraction bounces off these walls and goes here. But do you see in your example how it started doing it again on the sides? In this, what I wrote there, I think I might have had a few beers. I said, and this is for Jaron, and I love you, brother, if you're watching this. I'm not like criticizing you. Like, it takes a long time till syncretism drops. But I'm saying that is why you are seeing a midnight sun to your south, even though that sun is supposed to be north, as we just said. And you can confirm that. There were people taking videos of that. They had noon. That's why you're freezing your ass off, Jaron, in Antarctica, and can't see your own breath due to 0.23% humidity, despite an alleged visual nuclear furnace orbiting you 24/7, low in the sky and very close to you, and yet you aren't standing in puddles of melted ice water. And as we talked about, they said it doesn't even snow or rain there. How can you have the sun down low circling you 24/7 for 2 months and not have that? Why isn't it hot? Because
That's an excellent point. Yeah.
it's not hot because it's not the sun. It looks like the sun. You're seeing parabolic refraction off the toroidal field and circular sound refraction, as you just shown, in the sweet spot you've been taken to at the exact right time and place of year, because the sun would have to be in Sagittarius Capricorn on the outside of the ring to do this. See, that's why it doesn't happen all year round, because the sun comes inside and it doesn't bounce off the walls. The sweet spot moves. You see, wherever the sun is, the sweet spot, like the antenna, like the the radio receiver, you'd have to make that shorter. So it's possible all of a sudden, if you bring the sun in from the Tropic of Capricorn and Sagittarius, the sweet spot, and there might be a 24-hour sun way out here near the edge of the ice wall. See what I'm saying? This will move because the angles will move of the rays. Does that make sense? So, So I just said that. So they don't understand that they're looking at a sound light wave frequency vibration in the ether and not a magical nuclear furnace 93 million miles away or 3,000 miles away on the flat Earth map, magically circling between the tropics with no explanation as to how your campfire got up there, magically orbits around the tropics on autopilot and seems to have a magical endless supply of fuel for a burning ball of gas, even though you have to replace your propane tank often. And they say, oh, there's nuclear fusion, even though fusion people say fusion power may run out of fuel before it ever gets started, but not the sun, right?
Yeah, just to build upon that a little, is the movement that we witness, this cone shape of, which is kind of a miracle that we get to see it in the slowed state.
Let me stop sharing my screen so that you can, there you go, yep.
Okay, so we get to experience this cone shape here, and it's like you said, it's not magical, it's not randomly happening. It's because that source frequency is making this shape within the vortex of the torus field. Now there's a lot of other, like, what do you want to call them, like arguments or debating of how this all happens, and then what about the bottom of the torus field that, like, we could go on and about. But my whole entire point to even making the video is you have to start with the legend. You have to understand tropical, you have to understand torus fields and how a magnet works, not the way they taught you in school, but honestly the way Ken Miller teaches it. So
yeah, and like you said, for the people watching, we're diving in theory here too, but here's the thing, they called that the final experiment, right? And if there's a 24-hour sun, then that's it, Earth is a ball, despite like thousands of other proofs that it's flat. You know what I mean? It doesn't negate all those. And all I'm saying is, as I said to Dave Weiss, now Dave Weiss is saying, and it is dodgy, like Dave Weiss has put out a video saying they faked this through technology. Now, what I said to Dave Weiss was, I said, well, hang on, if the sun is why the sky is blue, and you and I have talked about this, maybe it isn't. But I said, if the sun's on the other side of the Earth, flat around either way, how you can't project a fake sun into the black sky and light up the whole sky blue. And they did do a drone that had 3D footage. The moon doesn't make the whole sky white. So, and Dave said, oh, the sky is blue because of the coffee cup caustic. And what I'm saying to Dave is, how come you'll accept that the blue sky will wrap around the toroidal field or dome? He thinks it's a dome, but I'm saying toroidal field. Why don't you accept that the sun will do it, since all of them are light, is just vibration in the ether? Why would the blue sky wrap around and not the sun? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, and what I do think they might have done, because it's pretty dodgy, the stuff Dave's looking into, because they don't normally you don't usually see a blue sky there. It was really weird. They had like cloudy overcast, and the 2 days they turned up, it was perfectly sunny. Dave's saying it's because they faked it. My theory is, no, they knew there's a 24-hour apparent sun there, as we just shown, and they wanted to make damn sure they saw it. So they might have geoengineered or done some kind of weather mod to make frickin' sure that it wasn't cloudy and overcast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I find that when they say,
I'm going to get into cloud cover because I have actually forgotten to get into that in previous videos. Yes, I know it's a long video. Okay, this is from the Polar Research Institute or whatever. Polar Research Net, Antarctic Clouds, published 2010. So this gives you the coverage over the different percentage of cloud coverage there is depending on the month. And you can see here that November there is a lot of cloud coverage. Let me get further in here. What was it getting into? Because I was talking about the days of the months. Okay, so sensitivity studies with global climate models show that by their influence on the radiation balance, Antarctic clouds play a major role in the climate system, both directly at high southern latitudes and indirectly globally. It's not a globe, but anyways. As the local circulation changes, lead to global teleconnections. So that's very interesting. Unfortunately, observations of cloud distribution in the Antarctic are limited and often of low quality because of the practical difficulty in observing clouds in the harsh Antarctic environment. The best surface observations suggest the fractal cloud cover at the South Pole is 50 to 60% in all seasons, whereas the cloud cover rises to around 80 to 90% close to the coast of the continent. Microphysical observations of cloud parameters are also very sparse in the Antarctic. However, the few measurements that do exist, predominantly ice crystal clouds across the interior, measurements that do exist show predominantly, ice crystal clouds across the interior with mixed phase clouds close to the coasts. Crystal sizes vary from 3 to 30 millimeters effective radius in the interior to somewhat larger ice crystals and water drops near the coast. A wide range of crystal shapes is observed at all sites. This review considers the available cloud observations that highlight the importance of Antarctic clouds and the need for better observations in the future. Anyway, on with the show. Nope. Yes. All right.
It's like artificial sun. China's making an artificial sun, or solar flares. These are metaphors. I've proved this over and over and over again. If you watch what happens when they say, oh, solar flares are coming to Earth, it's a solar flare because they dropped something into the matrix. A fire in LA happens. If you notice, then they said solar flares are happening. It's always, for years and years and years, something gets dropped into the matrix, which wakes people up, and it causes a solar flare. Oh, they wake up. And then they say, oh, a solar flare is happening at the same time. So they're metaphors to what's happening to us. So you have artificial suns, metaphors to artificial souls, people on Earth. I don't think they're actually making these things. And if you pay really, really close attention, all they have is the, it's too obvious with the timing and when they drop things in. If you look at the timing of when they start talking about artificial sun, they put it out there. China's making something. Look at what's happening all around, because they're trying to tell you something. And they don't need to make artificial suns. They don't need to waste money making artificial suns. They just have to convince you of stuff, and then you go spread a bunch of stuff, a bunch of bullshit. That's what a psyop is that you think it's all real, and then you go spread it, and you do their dirty work for them.
Right.
So,
yeah, because I would love to share these slides. I promise, Rebecca. I'm actually talking about this at Acapulco, but all is mind.
Oh.
And Walter Russell said that light is the mind of God. So like you and I were talking about, there's not just the Earth's toroidal field. All is a tomb. All is toroidal. Its mind precipitates into the three astral realms, into the ether, and that's what causes the vibration, is the mind of God, which we are all a spark of. And that's what causes the physical. So this is the other part. Like, we will never get out of the flat earth, ball earth debate until people start coming over to the metaphysical.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you're saying. All is mind. If light is the mind of God, and if all is light, then all is mind.
yeah, and it's pretty clear the duality of the seen and unseen, like the physical. You still there?
Yeah. So I'm just sharing my screen again. Yeah.
The physical and the metaphysical. That if you just take it, Jesus, for example, it's the physical, and then the metaphysical, this idea of miracles. Right? So, which are telling you stories of the sun and the miracles.
Jesus Christ wasn't mentioned in the Old Testament, And I believe that, like, even with the introduction of Jesus Christ as a physical being, this is what made us be further removed from the metaphysical versus the physical. And so, yeah, I think that this has been to like so many different ways confuse us and not show us the reality of this actual cosmos.
It does, but then he's also physical, because you are physical, this seen body, this physicality that you have, but then the unseen, like we've seen with the magnet under a ferrocell, is the energy flow of magnetism all around you. So I did a video just walking around looking at plants and fruit and stuff, and they all have the physical manifestation of the torus field within them. They all have this torquing as they grow, and that is the physical, the seen. But the reason they torque is because of the unseen magnetism. Sorry, okay.
No worries.
They bird from a torus field, so the energy, it's the energy field that's all around that only makes this one shape, this toroidal shape that is, flowing, converging and diverging like a drain. And then the shower head, as Ken explains it.
Yeah, it's like a tornado. The winds are on the outside, but then they suck up the middle. It's the ether collapsing into a vortex.
Right, but then in the physical, we can actually see that in the way things grow, like your calic on your head, your ear, a raspberry, leaves. They grow in a twisty shape, one and then the next. And can you see my hands right now? No?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you're down in the corner. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to blow you up bigger? I can do that.
Oh no, I'm not sure what I'm seeing.
That's a great video too, by the way. I saw that. It was great.
Yeah, the point is to say that the physicality, the expanse, is allowing you to see the unseen, the metaphysical. It's giving you an opportunity to see the flow of energy. Everything within the expanse, the physicality, whether it's you or tree or the way the luminaries move, is allowing you to see the unseen movement that's moving way too fast for you to see.
Right. Yeah, exactly. In fact, I want to get into that too, if you're able to, in a bit. You did a video where you talked about like Adam, Abraham, Jesus. You went down the Joseph.
Yeah.
You went, but what I have pulled up right now, these are all the stations on Antarctica, and I've got when their 24-hour sun starts. So Dave Weiss is saying that they faked the sun because there is no 24-hour sun. The problem is there's these other 20 stations that all have them as well. The only ones that don't, like Carlini, Esperanza, Mariambio, they're out on the coast, close to South America. They're the ones on the tip of that, that tip of that thing. I'll show you. The reason they don't have the 24-hour sun, what I'm saying is, like I just showed you guys with this one again. I'll just pull this one up one more time. The bases that aren't getting the 24-hour sun are outside of the sweet spot. You know what I'm saying? So the same reason why these islands and the southern tip of South America is not getting it either. They're not in that parabolic refractive sweet spot. And here's the real final experiment they'll never do. They need to drop a team off here on the left to where that's a Union Glacier right off of South America. Then they need to go to the south tip of Africa and drop a team off here. And then they need to go to Australia and drop a team off here. Now they'll tell all three teams that they're on a ball, so they'll think they're here on the right. See that?
Mm-hmm.
And then what you do is say, right, now if you're all on the same continent, now start timing the sun and see where you're seeing it. And when it don't match up, they're going to go, what the hell? And they're going to figure out it's because they're really out here. Now what I'm saying, though, is with the appearance sun, right? This is what that Lindsay guy was talking about. That sweet spot isn't just here on the left. It will circle this ice wall. In other words, no matter where the sun is in the daytime inside here, I think that there will just be apparent sun, apparent sun, apparent sun, apparent sun, because it will bounce off all the walls. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It won't just bounce off that wall and make one there. It'll make one here and here and here and here.
Not even just with like cymatics, but I've also, and with waves bouncing off and things like that, but I've also showed with my crystal pyramid that I've reflected it on different surfaces, different textures, different colors, and where there's multiple different areas where there's a light source. I've even rainbow colors, and then also looking like a very bright light in a circular two-dimensional shape, or whatever you want to call it.
your video kind of showed it.
Goes around the circle.
Yeah, the one you did here, you can see the other ones started to form already. See that?
Yeah.
So I think that just goes all the way around. And then again, as I said, as this thing moves in and out between the tropics, well, this is up high. So, but yeah, then I think that these sweet spots will be in here and maybe in here, but they never take you out there. And we don't know we don't really know. This is what that Lindsay guy is talking about in his model. See, he's now where he and you, he's saying there's like a North Pole and a South Pole on the inside and then another North and South outside. I don't understand that because a torus should just make one in the center. But see, he's really showing the same thing. He's showing that what's happening on the inside makes these swirls just like your sound app did. Can you see that? That's the same exact shape your sound app drew in that circle. So he's talking the same thing. He's saying no matter where you drop a team off, if you put them in a sweet spot, they're going to have a 24-hour apparent sun, no matter where they are in that ice wall.
I just want to say something about that app too. Before I made the video, I wrote something up on my Telegram channel. It was during the holidays. I didn't have a lot of time to make that video yet, but I did a write-up, and someone read the write-up and then dropped in my chat, check out this app. So it was actually a video of the app, wasn't the app itself, but from that video, I grabbed the app. I just want to say that this is like when you're working within the legend, the key, you can work together and piece things, but it all starts with understanding the key. So thank you to whoever did that. I don't even know now, but it was a helpful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, now might be actually, before you do the Abraham thing, I think it would be nice to show your theory about what the sun and moon really are. Because Austin Thompson, he's really cool. He's been documenting the sunspots for a year now, going around, the sunspots. They do look like they're orbiting a ball. Now you're saying that the sun, and I see this when I sun gaze. Let's call the sun an apple. Just it's a toroidal field. And let's say we're the
I'm looking from the top down though.
Yeah, like a stem. So you're looking down at an apple, and the stem where you picked it off is poking you in the eye, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying basically, if you turned an apple kind of upside down, you're looking into the center. So can you draw that? What are sunspots, in your opinion? Are we seeing in the mid? We're seeing inside the sun's toroidal field, and he's filming sunspots flying around in an orbit. It looks like they're orbiting, but they're not really orbiting the sun. They're inside, then, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. When you apply the legend, yeah, that makes sense. So, but it was probably just destructive energy. So the black, right? Because it's all destructive, constructive energy, black and light, like black light, white light, like
a waveform. There's the high peak and the low peak.
Yeah. Here.
Maybe you want to draw it, because I know when I sun gaze, usually with one eye, but with two, if I look long enough, I see that. I see a black. The sun turns black. And then I see like sometimes blue and green, almost red, blue, green, like a dash. Yeah. Do you ever see that when you sun gaze?
Oh, yeah, all the time because it's a hole. This is the portal for inertia.
That's the core of the apple. We'll say that's where the stem's sticking out.
Yeah. So this is magnetism. This is the portal of inertia, which makes a chalice shape, the Holy Grail, chalice, Mount Meru, Mount Sinai.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think
black rock?
Do you think there's a real magnetic rock on Earth, or do you think no? That's like is there a big mountain made out of magnetic stuff or not? They say there's a Mount Meru in the middle of the Earth that's like a 33-mile wide magnetic mountain, but you're saying it's actually the dielectric core that's causing the
that would be my guess is, and why you can't fly over it, because energy is flowing like out and around. If you can't live within the extremities.
Yeah, that's why there's no life in there or out on the outside. And again, like we were saying, that might be why it's so cold in there. If it's not the sun causing the heat, but the biology, the minerals interact, because what we know about the cell salts is they all have vibrations that resonate with the moon and the sun frequencies and the planets. They're in resonance, they vibrate together. And as you're saying, sound and light, illumination are vibrations in the ether. So we had that weird theory that maybe it's not the sun making everything hot, but the biology it's interacting with, giving off the heat.
Oh yeah, that's another rabbit hole of just the way a microwave works. It heats up water. by vibrating it, the water molecules really fast.
Right. So it could be all the water, even in the oceans and in our, in our bodies as well.
So depending on your position to the sun, which is a wave, right? If you're really close to that source of the wave, the sound, then your water and the collective water of like all the people who live in whatever area. That's a whole theory. But back to the sunspots for a second is you could see this constructive, destructive flow of energy. The black is destructive and the light is constructive. So it's possible that you're seeing that, from the inside, moving within the vortex.
That's what I was asking. Yeah, because there's not just the outside of the toroid, there's in there too. It's still moving
Well,
there.
yeah, that's where the vibration happens.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
it kind of says ice and water. You can't have one without the other. They go together.
Right. Yeah. So that could be what it is, because because it looked like it's orbiting, he thinks that it's a big ball of fire all of a sudden again. And I'm saying,
one other thing too, though, like imagine this: if this is the sun, right, and it's circling like this, and I'm in here within the Tropic Cancer. These guys out here are seeing the other side of the torus field,
like the butt of the apple down at the bottom. Yeah.
So
the butthole.
and that works exactly perfect with the magnet and the moon. So here they would be together. Here, full moon, they would be repelled, and then back together.
Yeah, that would make sense why you get what you call the black moon or the no moon, because they're right next to each other, canceling each other out.
Solar eclipse.
Yeah, because the moon would be its own toroid. Everything's a toroidal field, so the moon would be also a magnet as well.
Yep. And but in theory, I have talked to Santos about this because I put this video out, and I think he just read the title at first, and then he got back to me, and he's like, because I said the sun being magnetism and dielectric, and then he got back to me. He's like, no, the sun is magnetism, moon is dielectric. I'm like, watch the video. So he watched it, and he's like, oh yes, because each one is both.
Yeah.
That explains, because then when the moon gets away from the sun, on its Christmas tree branch, when the moon moves to the next branch and a little way, you see the sliver facing the sun every time.
Yes.
And the Jesuits tell us that's the sun lighting the moon, but it's not. It's the
right. So my theory is that the moon presents.
You want to draw it? I think it'd be cooler. Can you draw it? Do you mind? Or
the moon?
Is that too hard? Or what? I think it's better than the magnets.
So the sun presents magnetism out here, and this is the dielectric.
Right.
So you're looking into it like that.
That's the core of the apple from the stem to the butt.
Yes. And when you sun gaze, you'll see this black hole. It's a hole.
Yeah, it's a portal.
Portal for inertia. Inertia is energy that's at rest, and then it comes back out and around. Things die. That energy has to flow back out and then back into the portal. And then
we always see a side view of a torus field, but you're just showing us a top view, really.
Yeah, this is the top view. So the sun presents magnetism all here, but it's dielectric at the center. So my theory with the moon is so this is light. Magnetism is presenting light. And the dielectric is presenting light with the moon. So it's a film negative. So all out here is its magnetism, which you're not seeing. And it's presenting dielectric as light. So
I mean, if the stars are the same, are the stars the same?
Yes.
So space, the black space is the magnetism of the dielectric.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Ken Wheeler showed that this is possible under certain conditions. Like normally, like when you do it, you see the center as black, like this. But he showed it. Wait, I think I have a photo here. Under certain conditions, so this is from another video he did. He has certain conditions set up. So this is a magnet, and that is the dielectric core of the magnet. Instead of under a ferrocell, he has different conditions out here, and it presented the dielectric core as white light.
The two great lights, the sun and the moon, are possibly being illuminated because they're possibly plasma, ionized gases, degas, different state of matter. And I believe that the other luminaries, there's cymatics involved. Like it's particles creating these waves because of sound and vibration, because of light and sound, and yeah, and so I do think they are different.
What's that like?
Wow,
Star.
that's weird because Crow 7, he's been filming the sunspots with a special kind. I can't remember if he's using infrared. He's using some kind of lens, and his sunspots are white. I think he's filming the same thing you're talking about. Actually, have you ever seen any of those videos?
Oh,
Check
no.
out Crow 7's videos on his. He's been filming the sunspots, but with a very special lens.
Okay,
it's
so let me
exactly what you're saying.
But let me just clear this up. This is not a lens or anything. This is a magnet, and he has I think it's a part of a TV tube back here, and he's showing that instead of using a ferrocell to see that that magnetism, like that other slide I showed you. So instead of seeing it like this, where the dielectric core is black, and this is using a ferrocell, he used like part of a TV tube, and the magnet, here's the magnet, the dielectric core is white, so it's the inverse of light.
Right.
So this would be magnetism all around. So this is like this is physical. It's like not a lens. It's not.
Yeah.
It's physical. So my theory with the moon is it's
Magnetism is
presenting
light.
dielectric light, and
Laser.
you know it's moving, right? So as it's moving, we're seeing that dielectric light just kind of flow through as it's has this magnetic relationship with the sun.
Light is the removal of electrons.
Yeah,
Because
you're still looking down the core of the moon.
Magnetizing the
Yeah, you're still looking at the core of the moon.
within the ether.
Yes.
Down the stem, let's do the stem to the butt again, just like the sun. But yeah, I
Right.
see what you're saying. So when the one
So
side,
other-
when the side of the moon lights up, it's not a ball; it's the side of the inside facing the sun. As it gets further away from it and higher,
yeah, it's a disc too, because you know I'm seeing one side of the disc here in Cancer, and everyone else is seeing the other side of the disc out here in Capricorn. And you look between the tropics; it depends on where it's at. But I was gonna say the patterning on the moon is like, think of it just like a patterning of any frequency, like with water, or I'm not saying the moon's water, but when
Well, because it's the
frequencies create.
imprint on the moon, it's immovable, almost like an X-ray, almost like it's been frozen, like some kind of like a light has been burned into the into this plasma object, whatever it is. So that's also very interesting.
Create patterning. It's just that's
So
the
if it was a
frequency.
fluid, you would see these moving more or at all, and they don't.
So that's the pattern it creates.
I mean that makes sense because, like you showed, always whatever frequency or sign we'll call it the sun is in, the full moon is opposite, meaning the farthest is hell away it can get. So then the sun's not interfering, right? So that's why you see a full moon.
Okay.
Are you there? Oh,
Yeah. I was thinking about what you said.
No, you say the full moon's always farthest away on the wheel
Yeah.
from wherever the sun is. So that's why I'm seeing the full light, because the sun is not running any interference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It
Because the crescent of the moon, whatever part's lit, right, the half or the crescent, it is facing the sun, isn't it?
yes. Yeah. It's kind of like a receiver of frequency. So sorry, I wish these were colors, but if this was the sun, yeah, here's the moon. You're just gonna have this part lit up right there when they're like this.
Yeah.
That would be the first crescent. So the sun moves past like this. So just imagine both of these are moving, but when they're like this is important to understand. It's the flow of the magnet, like the flow of the magnetism is going in and out and around like this, right? That's all it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so this magnet is doing the same flow out this way and around like this flow of magnetism. That's what makes all those shapes, the sacred geometry shapes under the ferrocell. Okay, so it's the flow isn't going out that way. It's going back in on itself. So that's why the magnets can't come together. Probably can't see this, but I cannot push these magnets together.
Yeah, because the flows are going
opposite like this.
right. Yeah, so they can't attract. Yeah, they're repelling. Yeah, from the force.
So if you take that and you come back around, the moon's waning. that's that disk. They come together. Like
Ah,
that's exactly the way if
Right.
you had two disk magnets, that's exactly how it works.
Okay, so I put the wrong tab up for Antarctic clouds. It did give you some information on it, especially the telecommunications piece. But I like being consistent. So this is from cloud cover of the South Pole from visual observation, satellite retrievals, and surface-based infrared radiation measurements from the American Meteorological Society. Estimates of cloud cover of the South Pole are presented from 5 different data sources: routine visual observations up to 2004, surface-based spectral infrared data, surface-based broadband IR data, that's infrared, the extended advanced very high resolution radiometer, polar pathfinder data set, and the International Satellite Cloud Climatology Project data set. The seasonal cycle of cloud cover is found to range from 45 to 50% during the short summer to a relatively constant 55 to 65% during the winter. Relationships between C and 2M temperature, 10 M wind speeds and direction, and long wave radiation are investigated. It is shown that clouds warm the surface in all seasons. The annual long wave cloud radiative force. Anyway. But it does peak in November. It seems to start tapering off, but so yeah, using the non-visible light spectrum in order to measure the distances and cloud coverage and all of that stuff. Almost done here. I know it's a million long.
On the black moon or the known.
Right. So in a way, when the moon is over here, it's almost like full magnetism. Like that's not like not a great way to say it, but flow. Its
Never
flow,
go full magnetism.
its flow is the same as the sun. So now they're flowing the same.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, and then it starts to get opposite as it spins. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's something with this pooling of the magnet that's pulling this dielectric light. It's waning. And then over here it's waxing. This dielectric light is growing. Right? And it's being repelled now by the sun. And now it's in its full glory. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Short version of my
I was going to ask you if you can remember, can you run through the thing with Adam and Abraham, Jesus? You had
I
I don't know if you remember it offhand. You did a video, but I know it's impossible to remember everything all the time.
well, the bloodline.
Yeah.
So this is another thing that comes up. It's like, oh my God, there's so many narratives on this bloodline. And I did a whole thing of the word genius, and it's coming back to generate or generation, or if you think of 0 point energy generating, and so generation, the whole bloodline of Christ. But you have Abraham, Abba means father, and then Ham means to bend the knee. So this is their bloodline here. So let me just write all this out.
Yeah. This is fascinating.
And then you have King David. Now, I like to look up the etymology of words and the back history of words, and the word David actually goes back to the name Dawson. I used etymology and look up words, so you can do that too. So Dawson, that's where David comes from, is dawn, the sun.
Me.
And then Jesus is the salvation.
Right.
Salt of the earth.
Salts of salvation. Yeah.
No, Jesus is the sun.
Salvation. So if you look at the bloodline in terms of applying the tropical system and the sun's positions and frequency, you have father Abraham who bends the knee at sunset, and then you have King David, the sun that rises over the mountains. He wears the crown at the dawn of the sun. And then you have Jesus, the salvation, which would be the noon sun, because the noon sun not only tells you everything, but it is in my opinion, the best position of the sun in the sky because it's closest to you. Your personal savior is close to you in order to, for electricity to conduct through the water that you are. The water in your body is an antenna, and you have to have the minerals in order for electricity to conduct through the water.
Our
So you have
DNA,
your minerals, your cell salts, and then the sun. So this is the activation process, and then that would be your bloodline.
Which is crazy because that's in George Carey's system. That's what happens at birth. The sun synthesizes the salts through the air and the water in the body and creates your astrological sign and your resonance. That's in your blood, literally.
Well, yeah, Santos has said like you're because the sun is a portal for inertia. So the energy is going in and out through the earth torus field and then in through the sun's torus field and out through the sun's torus field. So it's just allowing energy to flow through. So that's why when the sun is in a specific position in the sky, like all the Leos have similar attributes because that's the frequency your energy was born into.
Yeah, that was the energy at the time when you were born. Yeah, exactly. And that's why you keep resonating with that on certain times when those alignments come back.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's even like numerology. It's like there's got your days, you know what I mean? They're like, this is your day. You know, it's like it's just these frequencies, these angles.
Yeah, the angles, the angels, yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I understand it's hard for people to think about Jesus being the sun.
Yeah.
Our followers are all they mostly know this. I don't have too many Christians like literalists following our channel. They'll get this.
Yeah, but I'll just say though, is like people that I have worked with have said that understanding this has just expanded their closeness to creation and understanding all this. It's not a takeaway. The takeaway is the psyop of Jesus as a man, because they don't want you to understand the soul, the salvation, and how this whole system works, right? So the man is the psyop, and that's hard for a lot of people. And I went to Christian school, you know, and did the whole Catholic thing as well, and so I get it, but it is so much bigger than just sticking to that physicality. You know, that's one aspect, this physicality aspect. Matter of fact, all the archetypes, Krishna and Buddha, they're all attributes of the sun. So Jesus is the humble, healing sun. Okay, and you have, let's say Zeus. Zeus is the powerful sun, Jesus. They're all giving attributes. Buddha, like the wandering sun, you know, moving, and Krishna, the beautiful Krishna's like in blue, the beautiful sun. They're all just explaining attributes of the sun because this is one of its attributes. It's humble and healing. Another attribute is that it's deadly. Another attribute is that it is beautiful. You see what I'm saying? So another attribute is that it's extremely powerful. Zeus. So they're explaining attributes because this is the bringer of life. This is the salvation. This is the sun that rises.
It's the light of the world.
The second coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming again. It's coming again. It's coming again. It comes every day.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many metaphors, you know, like, Nicole, this is fascinating. Like I could just talk to you for 100 hours, but we're shooting on the hour. The last thing I wanted to say is Jaron's last thing, you know, getting back to the 24-hour sun thing. He said, how can you explain how all these satellites and apps and this have the exact precise sunrise and sunset times at every angle, at every position? And first of all, I laugh at that because like there's dusk and dawn. What is an exact sunrise and sunset? You have a mountain in the way. Is it when you see it? You know what I mean? Like you could easily figure that out, but
yeah, they're using the circles, and you know the stuff out there is pretty correct. But they're using the circles. Like if I'm in California and the sun is in Aquarius and the circle is this big, I'm going to start seeing the sun here. And then I'm going to see the sun set here. Like that's the
Yeah.
circle that Aquarius is making. So a Cancer circle, I'm going to start seeing the sun way over here and set way over here. So this is, 14 hours where it's out. And this is, 6 hours where it's out. So the apps get it correct because they're using the circle of the sun for every place.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Like it works on both systems. That's what I was saying too. Yeah, I don't see that as a proof. And what I really see as a proof is you did your great video on the 7 shapes that the sun makes, which is all in our language. It's all in our religions. It's in our numbers. It's in our letters. It's in our holy books. There isn't anywhere it isn't. But the one shape that the sun doesn't make is a single arch. Like I was saying to you off camera, if the only time you're ever going to see an arch in the sky over your head is if you go to St. Louis and stand under the arch.
Right.
So that to me already, just the 7 motions of the sun disprove the ball, because it would have to.
Yes, I've been saying this. Forget the Earth. The sun movement shows you the shape of the Earth.
I know, yeah, but people don't
That
get
is the keystone. That's why I had to name my channel the keystone. But yeah, it makes the A, like I showed you earlier, the circle goes around for each day. The cone, vortex is up, back down. The sine wave, which is as it's moving through the tropics, doing this. Analemma, we all know. The cross, that's the 4 key positions that Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and Aries. And then the eye on the water. This is done deal right here. This one, I, first letter of the Bible, I. That's a done deal right
We
there.
know that too, because a ball doesn't make a straight line down the water at sunset. A ball makes it lights the whole thing up.
Right. This is the disc. This is as the sun moves away. That's everything. And
Vertical surface.
is the within.
Okay.
The eye, the pineal. Open your eye.
Yeah,
So-
and your eyes that you use to see the sun on the water. Jesus walking on the water.
Yeah,
That's Jesus.
that's the sun moving across the water. That's the metaphysical, the miracle, right? Metaphysical, that sun walking.
Okay, I was going to get into, I won't. Cymatics, the magnificent and mysteries of sound vibration. And I was also going to talk about DNA, music connection. But I talked about this before, and this is already very long. And I got to get my dogs out. So on that note, I will leave it at that. I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.